Hi, everybody. This is Denise. You're with Global Voice 2012. Today is Sunday, and we have our usual guests. We have Drake, we have Minuteman, we have Grammy J, and, of course, I'm your host, Denise, and I would like to thank Paul Beener for being with us and helping me on the board. We have rather inclement weather going on here, and everything to protect us having to go off air. And Paul has been a great help to me in recent days here, and I'd like to kind of welcome him back in helping me. Today is the 19th of August, and unfortunately Drake had called in and he has dropped off. I think he may have gotten another phone call. But he should be back shortly. In the meantime, welcome Minuteman, welcome Grammy.
Thank you.
Hello.
And I would like to address something that is going on with our Facebook page. Let's see, I think it was day before yesterday, we took steps to disallow all of our members to initiate a post. That is the only change on the Facebook page as of this time. We, as everybody knows, we had a lot of drama going on a couple of days ago with a gentleman, well, I wouldn't call him a gentleman, but we had a person that created quite a stir, not only in our group, but in numerous other groups, with a fiasco and a falsehood and a story that was complete detraction and distraction, and was a horrible, horrible waste of the time and effort of hundreds, if not thousands of people. Due to that fact, we took it upon ourselves to basically stop, at least temporarily, the ability for anybody to initiate a post. And I don't want our members to think that this is any way taking anything away from them or any kind of suggestion that we might be trying to censor anyone. You know, your time is as valuable as our time, and we are too close to the end game, people. We cannot get distracted and lose focus and lose sight of what is important. And this was as much for you as it is for us. When you have a gathering of as many people as we have on our group, we can ill afford to have this kind of thing take away from the importance of what is before us. So with that being said, Grammy, was there something you wanted to say? And I'm going to see if we don't, it looks like Drake is back. Let me see. Drake, are you back with us?
Yeah.
Welcome back.
Quiet now. There's a little something everybody needs to know. Apparently, we're Blog Talk's having troubles again.
Oh, dear.
And I don't know what the deal is, but a lot of people can't hear and that sort of thing. So, you know, if need be, there's several different venues that we can use.
Okay, well, I will say, Drake, that Paul Beener is supposedly simulcasting this on Spreaker Radio, where we used to broadcast from, and that is also known as Global Voice Radio, not Global Voice 2012, but Global Voice Radio on Spreaker.com, and users can listen there.
I don't know if it's just a problem with one particular person. I can tell you that certain people they don't want listening have been hit by lightning today, and I thought that was kind of odd. I got reports from about several. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to give a number. I don't want them to know
Okay.
if they're successful or not.
Okay.
So what people don't understand is that there are ways technically to orchestrate such things. And so, you know, you want to have a little fear factor and fun. You know, does that mean whenever it's cloudy I can't go outside? Well, good question. Personally, I don't really care about a whole lot of things. There's been a lot of questions about who did what to who. And I tell you right now, there's a lot of people out there that do not want anybody to hear this show. Period. They don't want to. They don't want. They're really got their panties in a bunch over things that have been posted. Oh my goodness! Now he's got the real docs. What do we do? Well, those docs are obviously ruining Mr. Keenan's name. This guy must be doing something really funky, and there's a certain group doing that. I thought that was hilarious, and so do all the people that don't listen to this particular group. So, you know, if they really want to see what can be done, that was light duty. It can get a lot heavier if they need to have proof. It will be up close and personal type of proof. It won't be the usual stuff that, you know, oh, my internet went out, or they turned my phone off in the middle of things, or any of the fun and games, silly stuff that's being done. So I just thought I'd throw that in.
Okay. I'm going to double check. I've got a couple callers calling in. Maybe Paul Beener would have some. Okay. Actually, you can call in to the program on Spreaker and listen. I believe is 763-400-4605. I think. No, that's not it. I'm sorry. Give me just a minute. Okay. They're going to type me the information here that everybody can call in if you're unable to get through on Blog Talk. Okay, 1 minute. Oh, here we go. He's on the board. Welcome, Paul. Can you give our listeners the information on where they can go to listen on Spreaker in the event that Blog Talk is giving them issues?
I don't have the conference line live yet, but if we're having trouble with the Blog Talk call-in lines, I can bring my conference line in. Are we having trouble with the Blog Talk call-in board?
Not necessarily with the board. Well, Drake called in and it just went silent and he dropped prior to the program starting. But so far, you know, we've had issues in the past, yes. So, and people are reporting that they are having trouble getting the player to launch, that it plays for like 10 seconds or even a minute, and then it just stops, and this happens over and over and over again, and effectively they can't listen to the program.
Okay. Well,
so
first of all, we can get them in on globalvoiceradio.net. Just if you can hear my voice, you can browse to globalvoiceradio.net, and up at the top of the screen you'll see a red and yellow listen now, and then that will take you to the live stream that is active right now. And if we have any questions, you can email those questions to onefreepeople@gmail.com or drakeanswers@gmail.com. And we'll bring those questions in as soon as possible. If anybody is having trouble connecting to the Blog Talk board or having trouble dialing in, I will have an answer or an announce-only conference call-in line live in about 1 minute, and the phone number for that will be 399-1200. And the access code to get into the room will be 153938. And I will be sending the simulcast down to that chat room. But that's running on a different computer in my house, and I have to remote into that one and actually add that conference line to the call. So give me a couple of minutes to get that set up. If you want to go ahead and dial into it now, you'll just be listening to some hold music until I get things straightened out. But you will be able to hear the program from there. So give me just a second to get set up here, and we'll be off and running.
Thank you so much. And I do see that we have a lot more callers than normal, indicating they may be having issues getting the player to play. So, a lot more people are calling in, evidently, to listen by phone. So that's an indication that there may be an issue. So I appreciate everyone's patience while we try to overcome technical difficulties here. So thank you all so much. And go ahead, Drake. Grammy, again, is with us. Minuteman's here, and thanks so much.
Yep. Things get interesting. One of the things I find really interesting is the failure of people to pick up on what's going on around them. The failure to understand that there is more available than they realize. It takes considerable amounts of effort in order to have people understand and find that a person can be trusted with information beyond what is to be outed. It takes considerable trust for them to find out that the other side of that particular coin is just as true as the one they're dealing with. I don't trust just anybody. I know I can trust me, and everybody else is questionable to an extent. So here I sit, all broken-hearted. Now, we posted some docs, and I thought everybody would really get a kick out of that, and it apparently incited a riot, which is exactly what was wanted in some ways. I want everybody to go, ooh-wee, there it is. I want everybody to go, I'm going to take a close look at this, and I want everybody to understand something. Did anybody really take a close look, or did they just take the surface appearance and run with it? And what I'm talking about is, the timing of the docs. You got somebody that's dead in 64, it comes out in 68. That means it must be a forgery. It must be something wrong with it. Well, you got to remember that, the agreement was made in 64 and signed. It didn't come out officially to 68. And there's a little trick to knowing this. On each one of the documents, at the signatory area, there is always a date of issuance. And that date of issuance, if made at the right time, is either on top of or underneath the signatures presented. If you want to play the game with it and take a look, that'll answer one of the questions. Now, I've got several groups, individuals and others, who are taking issue with all this and other things. They're taking an issue with my existence and using up their oxygen, and me being a, quote, agent of disinfo, and all this other happy stuff. Well, we're going to play switcheroo just a little bit, and I'm going to change the subject just a hair. Not extremely. Now, over the past few days, I've been getting a whole load of invitations to join up with, affiliate with a large number of different groups that are large in themselves. And that's pretty heartening. They're beginning to find out that the reality is here, and they want to be linked to the closest thing they can get to it. And that, to me, is personally extraordinarily satisfying. People have no idea. I've been working on this for 20 years, and finally somebody said, "He got it right, man." That in and of itself is enough to make you jump up and down and go, "Yes, I finally did something." But we got some questions that need to be addressed to go along with all the stuff that's going on. And this stuff is not as such inside info necessarily, but I want everybody to take note of it, and I want everybody to really think about the impact it'll have in terms of what I've been able to find. We got an issue, and a friend of mine brought it up on her show, and her Facebook page is loaded. I don't know if anybody's heard of the Moretti Report. It's on Freedomizer Radio. It's the Underground Report. It's a lot of things. I've invited her to come on anytime she feels like it, because I do that to her sometimes. And she has a load of information that you just won't believe. She can, off the top of her head, link everything together in such a manner that it follows in a logical order. And the logical order of this is simple. Everybody's been outing things, all kind of information. Oh, people are going here, people are going there, who is that, why are they there, etc. You got rumors about armies, you got rumors about invasions. You think that China is going to show up in Los Angeles and test out all of the restaurants and see if they really do have good food. Just about everything you can think of. Obama, a lovely subject. And his minions, and by that I mean varying people that advise him, instruct him, and continually mentor him in what he does and the manner in which he's doing it. The ideology behind the push is to destroy our country. Anybody that's not either intelligent enough or awake and aware enough to figure that one out missed it. If you cannot look at what the man has stated, that he's the king and we're the subjects, missed the little part that the United States says, but we're free. Well, now, if, and this is a proposition, supposition, and a bunch of other things rolled into one, if somebody wanted to subjugate this country, what is the only way that it can be done? They know better than to attack us from outside. Some people have tried that. Didn't work too well, even at a distance. Now, everybody knew what the outcome was. Everybody knew what it was going to be, because the people that want these things to happen are exactly profit-oriented. Oh, ain't that well lovely? Meaning that they control the purse strings both sides. Meaning they can decide who wins, loses, what the situation's going to be to their advantage. That's pretty interesting. People giving up their lives for what they think is something that is a concept known as freedom, a concept known as not having to be subject, and yet you got one country calling shots over here to our country when we send our military in. That's squirrely at best, and I'm trying to be nice. I think it's screwed up as a whole bunch of things, but Obama has been busy. And all of a sudden there's some things that have been happening, and they're kind of distractive because of the manner in which they're presented. This goes to mainstream media and all the BS that they come out with. And what I would like to do today is out some of this, because I want everybody to pay attention to it. I want to know, and people have been asking. So in combination with the docs, I think, and I hope that I have answered most of the questions concerning those things, either in posts or on the show, one of the two. The docs are genuine. I don't care if anybody don't like it. That ain't my problem. They're genuine. They're real. The people that would take issue with the idea that I talked to Neil Keaton, I got off the phone with him just for the show. We talk regularly, and we discuss things. He tells me about this and about that and how something works, and I got people that you're going to meet when we start traveling a little bit together, which we are going to do, and several other things. There's a whole bunch of different items put together within all that. Now, not only do I deal with Mr. Keenan, and that's primarily on a financial basis, but I also deal with a large variety of a combination of individuals, both in official office and in sensitive positions who have found that the website and my shows do not get into the particular absolute intricate details. We don't name names. We do not cause people to have problems. And what that means is that we can get sensitive information and put it. And when we do, as an example, these docs, some people just can't do anything but object. I understand. Either they are totally brain warped, and there's quite a few out there. All they want to do is go shoot somebody, or all they want to do is be disagreeable. And oh yeah, I got a keyboard and a computer. I can go over on this site and just really tug on the guy's hemorrhoids, and I just ain't going to quit until they give me an answer. Oh. Well, there's a problem with that. After the questions started calming down, I started posting some other things, and it named some groups and the individuals, and it also validates some of these questions in terms of, well, what if, or how come? And those have been answered. If you can't handle the answer, it's not my problem to continue to object. All I have to say is, show me yours. We showed you ours. Is ours all that much bigger than yours? Do yours even exist? Why is it that you hear a whole bunch of talk and don't see any documents on a lot of these places? And I've been told by varying groups and people that, oh, I got documentation. Okay, well, I've not seen it, first of all. And number two, it's only an allusion to it. I see people on TV and radio shows. Those are combination shows. They're both radio and internet TV, as well as broadcast of varying types. They wave a piece of paper and say, I got the documents. Well, okay, that's cool. Show me. Post it. Post it out in public. I'm not talking about paying $3 a month or a week or a day or whatever it is for your stupid yanking on everybody's chain. That's not what I'm about. I don't care if you get upset, jump up and down in your chair and holler for blood. Oh, yeah, but don't hurt nobody. Well, ladies and gentlemen, every time I bleed, it hurts, generally. Don't just arbitrarily, open a valve and it runs out. Usually I stub my toe, and it's difficult for me not to scream certain expletive deletables when things like that happen, or get my finger caught in a door, or I smash something with a hammer. I mean, I know all the words, but, anyway, the thing I'm looking at is you're going to have a little bit of discomfort, and I don't care personally about my own discomfort. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. It don't matter to me. I went to Vietnam. I bled over there a little bit. I come back and didn't get treated a whole lot better back here. Everybody thinks the war's over when they leave the battlefield, and then they find out that Uncle Sam got a footprint in your head, and you got to deal with that. You have to learn how not to deal with somebody who's objectionable to you by shooting them. That's messy. A lot of people make you explain things when you do stuff like that. It ain't a good idea. Besides, you're probably wasting ammunition. Because if you look at it correctly, those people eventually either won't amount to nothing and won't bother nobody anymore, or somebody put them up to it in terms of the ideology. Ooh, if somebody says this, time to fight. Okay, what is the deal with all that? Well, I've been reading recently about a lot of different things. I know everybody's heard about Hootery up in Michigan, I believe it was, and they found out that the FBI agent, I guess he was a bit green, incited all the stuff, provided all the stuff for him to do stuff that was illegal, and now he's got problems. Yeah, they let them go. They said, we're sorry. Charges dismissed. Hey, boy, come here. You're in a heap of trouble. You made a mess out of this. And the thing was, they had proof. Oh, I didn't do that. He did. And when everybody says that and they all agree, what did he show you? Well, he said you make plastic explosives by doing this, that. I thought, that's nice. And Why would I want to do that? Well, we're going to go blow something up. Or we're going to do this. Well, good grief. Most people don't want a violent revolution. Most people have seen what Beirut, Lebanon looks like, or the Gaza Strip, or other places where you got stuff zinging around with the intent and purpose of killing or hurting somebody. And that is not cool in your backyard, no matter who you might be. Unless you already moved, of course, and then it's just fine. Or you've got a vested interest, such as the bankers and financiers, in loaning people money to buy the stuff with. Ooh, let's see here. Fireworks are pretty expensive. Think about it. Ammunition gets even more expensive. And if you supply a lot of it, well, who's going to pay that debt? Well, let's see here. It must be some kind of a way. Well, you guys represent the country, so the country must be responsible. The only way the country can be responsible is to stick the people with the check for lunch. Ooh, that's called raise your taxes just for the fun of it, which they do, by the way. They think it's a joke. Anyway, I got several people, groups, etc., jumping up and down and hollering about those docs that we put up. Well, I got one that's even questioning why I would falsify things from Neil Keenan. Well, Neil's the one that gave them to me, y'all. And like I'll say again, if you got contrary documentation, I want to see it. If it's contrary and it's valid, I will not only run it by the people that say that theirs is valid from my website, the ones that I put up and things I've talked about, but I will also post it. I ain't afraid. I make mistakes sometimes, and I've trusted some people that I shouldn't have trusted. Not at all. That's why I had some of this little timing problem come up. When you got validation by 3 or 4 people as to the accuracy of something, that's interesting. Well, what I did was I did some checking. And I found out that some of these people were aligned with other people who were aligned with the people that were putting the stuff out. Hey, you're my buddy, man. I want you to say this is right. But, man, you know that stuff's garbage. Put it out there anyway. Go on. Send it through the chain. Okay. So you end up with false information that ain't worth squat. It makes real good butt wipe. Now, Obama, he's a sneaky mother. He snuck in. He promulgated a bunch of false paperwork that everybody that was in the know knew about, among other things. And as he's been in office, there's a lot of things that have gone on. We had the crash in 2008. We had problems with a lot of different sectors of the economy and general jobs and livelihoods and all that. Well, I hate to tell you this, but we didn't have to go through any of that. That was a planned deal. It's just like the Great Depression. It was planned. They knew what was going to happen and did it anyway. They knew what was going to happen this time, did it anyway. Well, things have gotten into a place where people couldn't stand it no more. People were getting mad because some of the assets that they had were being used in such a manner that a tremendous amount of people, and I'm talking planet-wide, not just here in the States, but planet-wide, were having some real trouble, even at the survival level, keeping themselves alive. And we complain about being unemployed, but at least we can still eat some. At least we can maintain some sort of, I don't know if you'd call it a lifestyle necessarily, but a life. And so I started looking, and instead of trying to post all this stuff, there is too much to post. I'm going to just be honest with you. There'd be 25, 30 links. Each one of the links would be like a friggin' book, and yet it can be all put together pretty concisely. And I'm bringing this right to Obama's doorstep. The man is creating a private army, and it's real simple. I don't know if anybody's watched the news in the last week, but we have an amnesty program going on after it was turned down by our representatives, and that amnesty program is one of we're going to take care of the problem. The other part was they told the people that were given the position of enforcing our immigration laws, direct orders not to mess with illegal immigrants. But that was their job anyway. There's been some objections to that, and one of the objections was, well, I'm doing my job anyway. They get the guy in all kind of trouble. And that was just on something that Obama said. Nothing official, just something he said. Okay, well, what is the point of even having immigration if they're not going to do what they're supposed to do? And what they're supposed to do is make sure that we don't have a whole bunch of nasties get into the country. We're supposed to try to ensure, and this is not the case all the time, but to a greater extent, that they have a place to go to work so that they can be productive, so they can eat, so they're not a total load situation. Due to the downturn in the economy, what goes first? I can tell you, if nobody's ever been poor, and nobody's ever seen it from the bottom side up, it would behoove you, it would help you, it would give you great understanding. If you could go out and take a look, get some dirty old nasty clothes on and wander around. And tell the people that you're wandering around and trying to figure it out. You want to see what goes on in the bottom levels because you're not at the bottom level. You can spend a day or two, and that's about all it takes. When you find out that the least of us are the first held responsible for any kind of problems, then you begin to understand. Now, there's been several things that Obama's done. One is his health care problem. And the rulings on that were correct because in order to make sure that the basis of it is subject to being decided upon, that was one of the reasons for the ruling that was given. The other reasons are that we have a penalty tax, period, and the Commerce Clause lost its supremacy. Now, I want you to think about that. That means the federal government cannot tell an individual state what to do in their economy because we'll withhold our federal funds. They get slapped down on that. Don't do that. That's blackmail, and that's illegal, and anybody that does that will come under the subject of scrutiny by the Supreme Court on an individual basis. That's about as heavy as it gets. You're looking at serious problems. You'd be lucky, depending on the crime, to keep your citizenship. And yeah, they can do that. Okay, so here we go. Obama. And he's screwing around like he's doing. He puts out executive orders like some people take a dump, and they're usually pretty crappy, so it fits. Who is being armed and why? Private army? Ooh, I want you to think about this. Did you see the crowd pictures? Did you see how many people are showing up, wanting to be validated, wanting to have their little piece of the pie? Okay, there's only two reasons for that. Everybody knows that employment is squirrely at best. Generally non-existent for most people that go out and try when they don't have particular skills. And if you don't have particular skills, you're sitting on the corner. If you're lucky, you got something to hide from the weather in. An old abandoned car, maybe even your car, and it's out of gas, or the tires are flat, or whatever. Whole families live like this. How do I know? Well, the wife and I have the capability of traveling, and I've seen it firsthand. I stopped by and asked, are you some of the people that are forced to live in your car because of what you're paid? Yes. See? Absolutely. And I've worked with what people call Latinos. A lot of people refer to them as Mexicans. Well, I hate to tell you this, but there's a lot of mix going on. People are coming all the way from South America trying to get into this country because they know that the border is a little bit open. And they know that they'll be taken care of on the other side. At least have some kind of something to eat once in a while. And what the alternative is starve to death if you don't know how to live in the woods. And living in the woods, believe me, that ain't easy. I've done it. It ain't easy. So they travel on foot generally all the way from South America just to get across our borders. But nobody wants to be here. That's interesting. Nobody wants to take up the cause of freedom. Nobody wants to wave the flag and say, hey, Obama, I built this, and you can do something with yourself. Oh, there's been signs running around on little clips on the internet and all kind of funsies that people have been having. And, yeah. There's another part that goes with this. I want you to think about the alternative. Walking thousands of miles. I want you to think about the alternatives of starving to death, or you become a part of a cartel and hope you live each day, or you can come across that border. That's pretty much the basis of it. And even the way the people are treated who do come across that border, even with all that, it is like a godsend in terms of lifestyle change. And that's something everybody needs to think about. Now, I know everybody's been hearing about all of the Mexican people or poor sharecroppers or whatever that are trying to make a living. They come up and pick stuff and they struggle. There are people that I know who are executives in the growing industry. I've known them for years. Got to know quite a few down in Florida when I was down there. And got to understand how it is, what goes on. Your pay is based on performance. In other words, you pick enough, you get a certain amount of money for it. And if you equate that, divide by hours, you know how much you made an hour. So, going back to Obama, I'm going to keep bringing that turkey up until it ain't got no feathers left on it. His objective is to cause a combination of social and financial ruination for this country. That's his prime directive. And I know people probably ain't going to like that much. There's probably a few people out there that actually support him. And I can't help the facts. I can't help what the man's done. He's done everything except declare himself king and send all the troops out after us or whatever. He's just short of that. The reason he hasn't is that too many people are armed and object to that. Too many people in the military also object. I ain't going to do that. And you ain't telling me that. Poke that guy that's sitting down saying no with a bayonet, and you'll find out what one military person can do to another. I'll tell you, there's going to be a fight. And there may be some disagreements. I don't know exactly how far they'll go, but once you kind of look at this, how do you subjugate a country like this? You tear it down from the inside. You'll note that food stamps exploded. Now, I'm gonna tell you two things. Number one, it is an extraordinary financial drain on our entire economy, our entire system. That's first. Number two, it hides a great truth. And anybody that wants to take a look can go back into any search engine on the internet and find Great Depression bean lines. We had these people lined up, and they get one meal a day, and it's Great Northern. And you hope there's some meat flavor to it, but it's better than going hungry, even if there ain't. Even if it's just beans by themselves in water, it's much better than going hungry. Used to have songs. One of them is, I hear there's turnips coming, and I don't want it to leave me behind. I want to make sure that I get me a turnip. I want to make sure that I at least eat something. In a lot of poor countries, you'll find, if you look around, you can't grow anything because people eat it before it grows. It ain't that it's for a lack of water. It's because people are so hungry, including the animals, they eat just about anything. It don't matter if it's good for them or not. I mean, you'd be amazed. So, what you do is you do these basic three things. You come in and you go after the economics. Now, I'm going to tell you the crash of 08 did not have to happen. It could have been prevented almost entirely. There would have been about a 20% bump. But we've been bumping along at 20% for a while, if you look at it. And you also, at the same time that you create a panic, so to speak, or a real serious problem, you put as many out of work as possible. You extend employment benefits, not to help people, but to gut the economy, to gut whatever savings, whatever assets you might have. Number three, and I don't know how many people are familiar with a grocery bill, but on average, a minimum of $25 to $50 per person is groceries. That's basic sort of expense in a rounded fashion, and it gives a little leeway from 30 to 50. If you eat slim, you can do it on $25-30 a week. If you eat a little more than that, and you like to actually feel like you ate something, it starts running up toward 50 real quick. I want you to think real close. How many people are out of work? I said something about 50%, and I don't remember if it was the people out of work or the people as a whole as a population. Somewhere in that neighborhood of one of those figures, 50% are using food stamps. And that's per person. It's based pretty much on what I stated. Per person. How many households are more than one person? Now you're beginning to get the idea. You're getting a little bit of a picture. Now you add immigration to that, where these people come across and the picking season ends, what do they do now? Well, having been a part of the economic system, they are entitled to certain things, like assistance with this, like help with that, like food. And what you do is you make sure that there is no alternative other than that. This way you kind of lock it in. Now you need one other thing, and that's the consensus of a great many people. There are a lot of low-income people in the United States. A much larger load now than there has been in the past, simply because the middle class has been stripped. And when you get stripped, that means that your capability of handling things goes down. So here we go, down that slippery slope, as people refer to it. And that's about the only politically correct thing you're going to hear on here. And then you look at another group and you offer them amnesty. You offer them help. And you've seen the extraordinary crowds. So you're looking at probably, 5 million, 10 million people altogether. Even though he hasn't done anything really for anyone. And the reason I say that is people looking for a green card, people looking to come here and be a part of the society. Society's been gutted, guys. We got a pretty much even exchange right now on the border. People going back as coming over. There's only one reason for that. There ain't any jobs. Uh-oh. So what does that mean for the person that comes over? Well, at least they can eat, maybe, or partly, or some way or another. That's the difference. You got kids, you ain't gonna let them go hungry. That's just all there is to it. So you do what you can. You come across. You try to make sure that they're taken care of, and I understand that totally. But the ulterior motive is this. Somebody comes across, or people that are already here, they're dangling a cherry out there, hold that banana in front of, or that apple, whichever the case may be, in front of the mule to get the mule to go. And everybody went. They all lined up. They want a piece of the action. Well, I want you to think about this real careful. And this is an addressment directly to the Latino and poor communities to spread the friggin' word. You're getting suckered in, and I'll tell you what the deal is. It's real simple. Obama can't raise an army. Too many people disagree with what he's done. He has not done enough for the poor people, in case you decide to take a look. And there's a lot of people out there willing to show people exactly what he's not done. He screwed over the middle class. He's gutting that pretty thoroughly. And he messed up the rich people. Oh, how did he do that? Well, I think there was a thing called Keystone Pipeline. That's a good start. That's quite a few billion right there. And then he wants you to contribute to his campaign. Oh, boy. He thinks that some people are just as stupid as they act sometimes, and I don't think so. I know some rich people that are definitely not stupid. Now, how do you raise a private army? You make people beholden to you. You also have to maintain control of some sort, and there's two forms of control. You want food, or you want to be put out. Those are the two choices. They can cut your food stamps off if you're poor, and if you're an immigrant, they can flip you right back across that border. There's your handholds. That's your control mechanism. Now, who is being armed? A variety of people. I just named some. And the question is, why? The only reason that you'd arm people that have not been armed before was if you were thinking that there was going to be a problem that would call for the use of arms. Now, Obama has been playing some games with kids, and these kids, some 7,000 to 8,000 per year, for several years now, 3 years plus, are kids of illegals, according to what they say. Now, whether they've been purposely separated from their parents or not, I got no idea, but I'd like to know where their parents are at. To take it a step further, I would like to know, just for my own curiosity, how is it that they're putting them on a military base? Is that because it can handle large numbers? How is it that they're offering to educate them, and that those people offering the education are the very people Obama uses as advisors on how to destroy this country? Why would you want to teach a kid how to be an insurgent? And I'm telling you, these classes are being offered to these kids. Average kid is 12 years old, give or take, 12 to 14, somewhere in that area. That makes them physically big enough to carry a gun. You begin to get the drift. 7 to 8K per year. You're talking 24,000 kids, somewhere in that neighborhood. And it's not, that's just 3 years. I don't know how long it's been going on, but it's been going on. In relativity, in something that you can think about. Think about what they're doing, what they did recently. The IRS says they're going to hire 16,000 agents to collect these new taxes on this Obamacare. Why are they getting body armor and automatic weapons when all they got to do is knock on the door and say, you owe, and if you don't cooperate, you go? Well, you know, what's up with this 16,000 armed individuals? And for what? Body armor? Come on. Social Security? That don't sound like it would fit, but what on earth did they order 700,000 rounds of ammunition for? Why are they ordering body armor? Why is the Department of Education, and these are people in our schools with our kids, ordering 12-gauge shotguns? You begin to get the drift of this, I hope. This is something going on inside. This is something you don't notice real prevalently. What are they doing with ordering all that ammunition? Department of Homeland Security. Well, they're going to secure the fact that they're going to continue to run the government as is, whether you like it or not. And if you get in the way, they're going to see if it fits up your butt. It sounded to me like. I mean, look at you got what's called organic crop co-ops. You got people that are selling raw milk and goat meat and things like that. You got people that are growing gardens instead of yards. And yet the FDA shows up with SWAT teams, automatic weapons included, locked and loaded, ready to go, raiding these places, jerking the plants out. Now, I understand having a cop in a school. I can understand that. In some schools, you're going to need that until you get to the point where you've got the kids educated enough to where they know that ain't the way to go. Train up a child in the way you should go. Well, if the parents don't do it, why don't they do it? Well, it's sink or swim, survival of the fittest. This is why a lot of the gang members don't make it to 21. Just that simple. You ain't fit to survive. That's why. You don't know how to operate in an armed environment. Nobody has ever really taught you tactical capabilities on a personal level. Or you'd make it to 21. Oh, you might have a few bullet holes, but you'd make it to 21. You'd probably live through it. I said probably. I don't guarantee nothing. But then you got this thing called Dreamers, the Dream Program. That's one of Obama's goodies. And, I mean, what are we dreaming about here? I would suggest that we're dreaming about a serious problem. Now, I talked about them kids, some 24,000 of them over the past few years, and I'm going to hit you on the head with this. Only 12% are Mexican. So you can forget this song and dance about helping the poor sharecropper or the poor picker's family. You can forget that horse hockey. the other than Mexican, that's OTMs, make up the balance of that. You're getting people from all over the world getting into this country for varying reasons. They look like they're poor, they look like they're starving, they look like this. I wonder how many of those are trained people. And by trained, I don't mean doctors and carpenters and such. I'm talking about somebody that's trained in insurrection or is trained as a chemist, specifically in explosives, or is trained in, I don't know what you call it. Some people refer to it as jihadism. I'm not going to lay that on everybody. I'm going to lay on the fact that these people are extraordinarily brain-damaged radicals who think it's cool to shoot people. That would be a closer deal because that covers everybody that acts like a nut. But the gist of the show is simply this. We have an extraordinary problem from within. I want everybody to pay attention to this, and I want people to start looking at this on a realistic basis. Sounds like we're screwed. Now, I don't think so, because you only got maybe 20, 25, 30,000, give or take, who are going to actually think about doing anything. Of that, even less will do anything. When it comes to pulling the trigger the first time, most can't, or hesitate at the very least. You do that with an armed professional on the other side, you just lost. You will be shot before you think about pulling that trigger twice. I guarantee you. That's the way the professionals survive. They know this, and they use it to their advantage. Now, you want to get into the fun and games of materials that are not supposed to be outed. Okay, well, let's throw in a little something that's been advertised. I'm not going to give you a real skinny right this minute. Ann Barnhart put the better part of 20 years into trading, and she found out that there was a little problem, and that had to do with a company that did a thing called mixing their money. What they did was they took all of the money and all the other accounts and put it into their own company account. That's the MF Global scandal. Now, you think the Ponzi scheme that Madoff did was big. This one's bigger. And there's a reason for that. This is a signal. And it's a signal to everybody. You got money in the bank, it ain't safe. They won't let them come get it. Or just simply relieve you of it. You won't even know what happened. You want to really take it to the next level, you got a retirement account? How safe is that? Or didn't you follow the news? General Motors did a little whoop-de-doo not too long ago. And in that process, anybody who was not a union member lost their retirement. They just plain took it. Oh, look, on the legal grounds on which they did that, I'll tell you what it is. Big Bubba, or at least he thinks he is, our King Obama, thought it was a cool thing to do. You have to understand, according to rank and file, according to pecking order, either Obama or himself makes these calls. I got links to this. You can see the video about it. That was from about August. Oh, let's see here. When did that happen? Doesn't say. The link I got is from August 15th, but it happened back when, as everybody probably knows. Now, there's another thing posted recently on our website, and it's only about 20 minutes long, give or take. And what it talks about is the fact that now Obama has decided that our military isn't worth diddly squat. It does not have credibility, and that our special forces sucks canal water, pretty much. That's where he gets off outing certain privileged information about the operational procedures that the special forces use and have used for quite a few years. Those things have been modified to come up to date so that they weren't subject to somebody getting their skinners in the way and causing problems. Now, this is something that has happened. These people have taken issue with this, and I don't know too many that would agree otherwise. That is horse hockey, and now they're after the president. Now these people encompass not just special forces, but also a large portion of the intel community. And I think Obama stepped in it big time. He already made the Secret Service mad. He made one of the Special Forces units called Delta Force look like nothing but a bunch of party heads. And now he says it don't matter, and he starts leaking things. Well, I tell you what, you don't accidentally leak something that doesn't ever leave the White House grounds, period, and is kept in confidence. It don't happen. I'm sorry, but that ain't one of the things that is normal happening. You'd be amazed how hard it is to get a hold of something. It's difficult enough getting the door without invitation. This makes it even more difficult. So this had to be, and I'm sorry if some people disagree, but it was done on purpose. It's sort of like when a certain lady disagreed with some things that were being done. Her identity as an operative got outed. Well, the CIA for years has been using spouses of dignitaries as operational officers. Everybody knows this, both sides. But when you go into the public community, anybody that did not realize it, and that could be a clerk that they had a casual conversation with on a regular basis and got some interesting, knew what was going on in terms of details kind of stuff. But you can't get too many other places. They read the memos, and you're not getting the information directly off the memo. You're getting a good gist of it, and you take that information and you run with it. This gives everybody on our side, supposedly, our side, a little leg up. It gives us a little bit of a tactical advantage. It's sort of like being able to look into the future and know what's going to happen. It's sort of like the thing that goes on in professional sports when you understand that the outcomes, and I want everybody to really think about this, it looks like it's all up for grabs. Well, I hate to tell you this, but that ain't the way it is. It's predetermined. Almost all of it. Some of them, they let them just run and see what happens. Most of them, of any importance at all, are predetermined. Now, within all this, you got one or two little items I'm gonna hit, and then I'm gonna turn off my diatribe, so to speak. First of all, you got to understand how much reliance there is on financials and the leverage and the amount of control that those give you. The other part is, and this is something that's becoming painfully obvious to anybody who's got eyes and ears to hear, eyes to see, ears to hear, and all that, look at it. These arrogant mothers are slapping you in the face saying, ha ha, and ain't nothing you can do about it. I hope that brings up some deep-seated anger in a lot of people. I really do. First of all, there's no reason for taxes. Secondly, they're not allowed legally to collect them. Number three, the federal government has stepped way over its bounds. Now, I have posted some things on the website that I wanted people to pay attention to, maybe actually do something about. And so far, I haven't seen a lot of action, but I'm still ever hopeful. And you might remember these as Article 1, Section 8, states, powers of Congress. What are the powers of our federal government? Those are listed, and those are explained, and these things have been ruled on by the Supreme Court and the people. These are not some kind of game-playing whatevers. Well, this deals with freedom and freedom of speech. Main article, enumerated powers. That's at Section 1. That's Article 1, Section 8. Powers of Congress. It's posted on the website. You don't got a copy, get one. Read it and learn. Seriously learn. Now, these people that have been doing this fun and games playing with us have been going behind our backs in whatever kind of games that are going on. It's called the Insurrection Act of 1807. That's where it starts. And amendments as of 206 and all this other stuff, differences, changes, all that stuff is listed in that article. It's posted on the website. If you use this information correctly, you can actually go into the position of being the lawman. Now, that does not mean you don't take one with you. It does not mean that you do not elicit the support of other agencies. What it means is that you go about things correctly. Try this in a whole bunch of different places and find one that works. It only takes one. Then you got them. They can be arrested for insurrection, which is a treason charge. People aren't gathering that part. There's another little post on the website. It tells you what a citizen's arrest is and tells you how to go about it to a general extent. All you got to do is fill out the affidavit. All you have to do is have two people, and all you have to do is find somebody that doesn't like what's been going on, who happens to hold the right office. Man, oh man, are you greased and ready to go? I'll tell you. So, yeah, you've got a whole bunch of things happening. General Vallely stated unequivocally that the intel community wasn't happy. Neither were the special forces, because some of those regulations and manner of operation overlap. When you get outed like that, it puts everybody on both sides of that little petition or that little difference in jeopardy. So then you got people like Vallely coming along and saying, that ain't cutting it. You did it, and we're going to see to it that you don't get that opportunity again. That means that you got a whole load of special forces. And you need to know what a special force person is. Look up the SEALs. Look up the Delta Force. Start looking at some of the training that goes on, and you get an idea. They would like to have college graduates, primarily. 90%, I'd say 99%, probably are. Most of them have to operate within our world today, so they are technically savvy, basically. Then you got the other part of it. They learn how to do all the things that a secret agent man would do, and then some. They learn how to be ghosties. And there's a neat commercial, and it doesn't say anything. It starts off with a shoreline and the sun going down. Sun goes down, and then it waits a couple minutes, and you hear the water, and then the light comes back up, and you see a track of a person from the water, and then back into the water, and the waves slowly come up and erase those tracks. That's a Navy SEAL. That's that ghost in the woods you don't see. Special forces. This is what these people do. And they do it well, and they do it for a living, and they do it so that we don't have to. They do it in such a manner that it is very much above board. So you might want to think about this. We have garnered the support of most every active agency or division of either the intel community or the military community, in order to return to a place where we don't have to go into countries as hunter-killer patrols, where we won't have to, if we go about it correctly, be ghosties in the wood anymore. We won't have to hide out, play the sneak up and zap them routine, and we can continue to further ourselves socially so that people don't have to be afraid of each other. Now, I want everybody to understand, the military's on our side, guys. They are allies of a free people, which is us. Now, it's not a good idea to take the law into your own hands. If that becomes necessary, do it right. Go study those documents and do it correctly. Make sure that you understand what a citizen's arrest is, that you are basically preferring charges in an indirect manner through local law enforcement and federal law enforcement two, reach the objective of removing someone who has decided that they're going to be in direct opposition to our Constitution and way of life. It might be just a vote. It might be just a little thing to a lot of people. But those documents I talked to you about, it does not allow for fudging on the issue. You either did it or you didn't. It doesn't allow for the gift of absolute leniency. But we the people, and with the correct adjudication, do make those decisions and can. And it's long past time. And I've probably talked way past what I probably should have. Denise, we got a steady music in there?
We do, Drake, and first, before we do that, I wanted to make an announcement. Paul Beener, are you on the line?
Yeah, of course I am.
Well, you've been off and on, huh? You want to tell everybody that if they were bumped off and give them the information again, please?
Right.
We're playing a little games. We're having a little bit of issues still technically, and I will let everybody know that please bear with us. And go ahead, Paul.
I want everyone to know that the technical difficulties were not my fault this time. And I don't think it was the cabal that did it to us either, because it wasn't just my house's power that cycled for 1 second, took down the conference line, took down my radio station, took down the line that I was called in to Blog Talk on. My entire neighborhood power cycled. But so that is why, if you were listening to either Global Voice Radio and heard dead air, which you probably did, or were connected to the conference line, all those systems are back up again. And just because my connection has been so spotty up to this point, I hope everything is going to be okay moving forward. I am going to be re-uploading the entire Drake program from Blog Talk to Spreaker as a podcast after the fact. So if you want to call 805-399-1200, access code 153938, that line is back up. And if you want to listen to the live stream on Global Voice Radio, that is globalvoiceradio.net. Just click on the Listen Now, and the little player that pops in at the bottom of your screen, just click the play button on there. I am so sorry to everybody for all the trouble that I've been having, that we've been having, but apparently they've been trying to do it to us, and, well, I'm just a big enough jerk. I'm not going to let them get away with it.
Okay, and I will also share that Elizabeth called in, and they, in addition, have a conference line, but you do have to hit *6 to mute yourself as you come in, that you can listen to as well, and that is area code 760-984-1000. Again, that is 760-984-1000, PIN number 778181 pound. PIN number 778181 pound. And then again, you have to hit *6 as you enter to mute yourself. There is nobody there manning, you know, the board. So, okay, did Rick or Grammy have anything to say before we take a quick break?
I think anything I got to say can wait till after the break.
Okay, thank you, Minuteman. What about you, Grammy?
I agree. I love everybody.
Great. Okay, we're going to take about a 6.5-minute break, trying to regather and get everything up and running and steady here, hopefully. And everyone get a refreshment, and we'll be back. All right, we are back. I hope everyone had an opportunity to have a break there. And Drake, we're back. Grammy, Minuteman,
We're here.
welcome back. should we go, do we have, Drake, did you have anything else you needed to share before we go into questions, or Minuteman, Grammy?
No, I don't.
I do.
Okay. You do? Okay. Minuteman?
You
You got the floor, sir.
Oh, thank you very much, and grateful to have everybody's ear in their hearts today. And it kind of goes, here again, goes along with what Drake was saying earlier about, well, how do we get this done? How do we defeat tyranny as a people? And, you know, I got a really neat email from the Global Voice, and a very powerful article was sent to me. And I'm not going to read this whole article, folks, but I've had a lot of folks ask me, well, man, how do we get this done? You know, it just seems so beyond us. We need this person to do that and this person to do this. And we've got to have this big leader step up to do this and that and show us the way. Well, folks, actually that leader is you, each one of you. And this article really strikes home to what I'm saying today and what Drake talked about earlier. So basically this article was written by a fellow by the name of Brandon Smith. And I'm going to pull it up here on the computer, so bear with me just a minute. And as you all know, bear with me as I read. I'm not the greatest reader in the world, but we're going to do the best we can for you today. We're going to answer some questions through this article today of what a lot of people have asked me about, well, how do we do this? And basically, the article called How to Defeat Tyranny, I'm going to post it on the Global Voice here real soon when I get done reading it. And my project, you may say, to everybody out there is, I want to see how far we can make this article go. This article clearly defines how these people have divided us, how they've used our economy, how they've subverted our Constitution, how they've divided us up on our ideologies to make our diversity go against us instead of being the power, the force for freedom to get things done. And at the end of it, I found it really uncanny that this particular person was able to actually write down some rules. I'm not going to read the article itself to you folks. You'll be able to do that for yourselves in Global Voice. But I am going to read these rules. It's going to take a few minutes. And let's see, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 rules in which I think if we all applied ourselves, we would see a great deal start to change. The rule number 1 is, stop waiting for others to fight the battle for you. If you want to put an end to totalitarianism, you can't sit around and wait for other people to solve the problem for you. The greatest downfall of any political campaign, even when led by a liberty-minded candidate, is the centralization of popular focus on a single man. There is no knight in shining armor coming to lead the liberty movement to the promised land. This is unrealistic expectations will only end up in disappointment and nihilism. The solution starts with others, or the solution starts not with others, but with you. Where do you contribute to freedom? What actions have you taken? Who have you inspired? What ideas have you offered? What project have you organized, struggled for, and sweated for? Take the reins of your own destiny and finally join the fight instead of pursuing the internet longing for a guru to hand you a mission. Rule number 2. Believe in something greater than yourself. Abandon childish cynicism. This is where we all get spiritualized. For the typical cynic, the typical cynic is a rather gooey and uncomfortable affair. If accepting a higher purpose to the universe and your own existence is too much for you, then at least consider deeply the future of humanity in general. Think not of what mankind is today, but what mankind could be tomorrow if you make it so. Know that there is a indelible good within us all. Though it may be difficult to see at times, cradle that spark and champion its return. If it's not enough to oppose tyranny, one must know exactly what he or she is fighting for in order to triumph. Cynics do not make history or change a country for the better. They are the forgotten dust wafting about in the wafered attics of time. Number 3, Rule 3. Deal with your fear, or it will be used against you. A subjugating government size, military might, technology superiority, and overall bravados are irrelevant. The fight will come whether we want it or not. Accept the fact that the fight is coming to you. Your fear of it does not change the eventuality of it. Wars, especially those waged for freedom, are won by will, not arms or technology, not by laser-guided missiles, predator drones. Tyrants always have the advantage. They always have the upper hand. They win when they are able to conceive the masses that this advantage makes them invincible and that resistance is a futile exercise. They lose when the people could care less about the size of the guns pointed at them. All men are afraid to take risk, especially mortal risk. However, great men understand the necessity of risk in the pursuit of what is right. Fear should play no part in your life ever. Rule number 4. Understand the nature of tyrants. Overcoming fear is one thing. Being overconfident is another. Understand that the evil you face is capable of absolutely any depravity in its lust for absolute control. Understand the crimes you will one day witness in your battle to dethrone the autocrats are designed to rattle your will and eradicate your resolve. Know to attain a free country, you must struggle through social, economic, and physical carnage you never thought possible before. Be ready, psychologically and emotionally, for anything. Number 5. Dump nihilist and obstructions by the wayside. You can't save anybody, and you certainly can't impart on a sense of great purpose on cowards, weaklings, and nihilists. These people are inherently self-centered and seek only to prolong the ease and length of their own existence regardless of cost to others. Nihilists, in particular, are so inwardly and subconsciously ashamed of their own weaknesses that they will go out of their way to often obsessively to project that weakness on the whole of. They have to believe that if they are not capable of fighting back, no one else can be either, and they will shriek to the rafters about the impending doom of us all. Nihilist and obstructionist are dead weight on any dissenting activist movement, even though they pretend to support the cause and should be tossed to the curb immediately. A revolution for liberty requires foresight and courage. If a person does not meet both these criteria, they will eventually bring you down with them. Rule number 6. Find a love for humanity once again. I hope some of these stuff that I'm reading to you folks is really starting to sink in, because we've been preaching this to you guys from the get-go. So rule number 6, find a love for humanity once again. I know as well as anyone how hard it is today to care about most people, given the amount of other stupidity that so many display on a daily basis and the cost this behavior has occurred in our society over time. Get over it. Recognize that when you fight for freedom, you fight for everybody, even people who have not earned your efforts. If you fight only for yourself or your immediate circle, you will lose. Look for the bigger picture and know that the real breadth and consequences of this undertaking. Fight for all, or you might as well crawl into a shallow hole and pull the dirt over your head now. Number 7, remain adaptable to the circumstances of the environment. Absorb what works and cast off what doesn't. Be stubborn in your principles and your resolve, but not your strategies. Vulnerability comes with predictability. Blaze trails the tyrants don't expect. Show them something they've never seen before. Be bold or go home. And finally, rule number 8. Retain your principles or you will fail. The physiological doctrine being peddled by the elites in our military today states that in order to defeat a monster, you must be willing to act like a monster. This is insanity. Foregoing one's principles and adopting dishonorable and vicious methods is not the way of a warrior. It is the way of the tyrant. Remember what you are fighting for. This is not about your personal survival, but about the survival of the worthy idea. Abandoning that idea might give us the illusion of a short-term success, but not the long run. The cost will bankrupt our movement, demolish our moral high ground, and make hollow any victories we do achieve. Now I'm going to read the last part of this. It's called The Fight Within, folks. Because, see, that's where the real battle is. It's within y'all. You're going to succumb to your fear. You're not going to be able to rise to what we need to get done. If you're going to succumb to all the rhetoric, all the disinformation out there, again, you're spinning your wheels. You really are. I see all these people on the internet, boy, they're wanting to post the most juiciest story of doom and gloom that they can possibly find, instead of really dedicating themselves to what we got to get done, step by step, to achieve that goal. And folks, we're going to sit here and stalemate forever, as long as people are waiting for this grand poobah to appear and to just show everybody the way. It's not going to happen, folks. Yeah, we've got great people amongst us, and they'll be noted for what they do, but know this, they're actually laying their butts on the line for you, not them. When you see people that's trying to reach the right direction, get behind them and do your part. Get out there, get involved. Search for ways to unite people, folks. Our diversity is a strength. You guys have heard me say that time after time after time. It's a strength. These kings, this king is trying to turn y'all against each other and use your diversity against you. Here again, you got to do something that king does not expect you to do. You got to turn it around on him. Got to reach across the table, put the ideologies in the handbasket for right now. We're not asking you to get rid of it. For all you people that's got religious beliefs, we're not asking you to get rid of your religious beliefs. We're not asking you to blend in with somebody else to dilute what you know in your heart to be right about your beliefs. What we are asking you to do is to take and not be afraid no more to reach across to somebody else that don't see it your way. You know, in 1776, pagans and Christians alike stood side by side against the king. That's how dire it was in that day. And folks, you're looking at the same thing right now, make no mistake. It's that dire. Do you want your freedom or you want your ideology? That's what you got to really ask yourself. Now, I'm going to continue to read the last part of this because this really brings it home. It's called The Real Fight Within. Some may have stumbled upon this essay with the expectation that it would outline some kind of step-by-step instructional guide to the crippling of the globalist. Sorry to dissatisfy if that is the case, but it is better that we all comprehend now that there will never be such a guide. As much as globalists and collectivists with aspirations of world dominance and total financial centralization are a threat to our way of life, the real fight, the fight that matters the most, is not without, but within. We will overcome them only when we overcome our own failings. I imagine many wish, as I surely wish, that simple days and comfortable times would continue on forever. The difficult truth is that history tests men and sets the extraordinary apart from the mundane. Sometimes these tests are so epic in their scale that one wonders if anyone will step forward to weather the storm. Someone always does, and we owe those brave souls a debt of gratitude that can only be paid with our own stance in our own era. At the end of all things, we will either open the door to a better world or we will have cut our own throats. Tyranny is nothing but an opportunity for the best in all of us to rise. I'd like to see that go viral, folks. Do you think Global Voice could help me with that? I really, really hope when I put this down in Global Voice, it's going to be interesting to see how many shares go out across that Facebook. And I want to see it popping up on other sites.
Well, we can definitely help.
You betcha, I hope so, because this man is right.
Well, why don't we do a double? Denise, why don't you post that and put it on a page both to go out?
Okay, I will.
Same time we can hit the Facebook and we just burn them up all the way around.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I tell you what, if I ever run across Brandon Wright, not only will I give that man one hell of a salute, but I'll give him a big hug. Because he's got it right, folks. He's got it right. I know this in my heart, too. We've been preaching this to him ever since you guys have got to know us. It's up to you guys. With waiting on this grand idea that somebody's going to save you. Because it's up to you to save yourself. It's that simple, folks. You've got a lot of good things going for you. You've got military on your side. You've got a lot of good law enforcement out there. And not only local arenas, but in the federal arenas, too. They're waiting on you. They're waiting on you. They're not waiting on them. They can't. They can't do that, folks. They're caught in a catch-22. They're in deadlock. Look at the things the bureaucrats have put against these people. They're stuck. They need you to get behind them to push them.
Hello?
America here, and I know we got other countries out there. This applies to them, too. Let's go, folks. I want to see freedom just absolutely astounding everywhere. And I know we got the people out there in the world, here in this country, that love it as much as any of us talking on these radio shows do. The only way it's going to happen, folks, is if you learn to make your diversity a strength. You got to make it a strength, and you can't be afraid anymore. I do want to mention one other thing. We had a young Marine that was kind of grabbed up because he made some posts on Facebook. I want you people to get behind that Marine, but I want you to do it with the most respectful, polite, dignified attitude that them people have ever seen up there. I want every one of our callers to get those numbers and tell them folks up there, look, we want to see Brandon go home. We want to see Brandon Robb go home. Let's get busy, folks. Let's stand behind one another. Let's get behind these efforts. Let's make this happen. I'm telling you, if enough people call up there, that boy's going home real soon. He didn't do nothing so bad. He just spoke his heart and his mind. And I won't make everybody understand it wasn't the FBI that went and got him. It was his local law enforcement that, well, wanted to make something out of nothing. They wanted to try to say, well, okay, kind of like we heard, I think it's Nathan Pencock from Dallas. Kind of along them same lines, you know. Nathan was exercising his Second Amendment rights, and, well, some cop comes along that doesn't decide he likes Nathan doing that. Well, they're going to file a false charge on him just to take his guns and to have it their way. Well, the same thing was done to Brandon, folks. And he needs your support. He does. He needs it right now. And he could be home in a few days. It's up to y'all. Y'all need to get on them phones. When you get on those phones, don't be a hothead or an ignorant person. Don't go yelling and screaming, making threats. We don't need that. We need calm, cool, collected people. Call up there and say, look, it's real simple. Let him go home. Turn him loose. He didn't do nothing wrong. Sorry you didn't like what he had to say. He's got a First Amendment right. So we're going to stand behind the boy. Let's get him home. Let's get him home to his mom and his girlfriend and the people that love him. And Drake, I think that's about all I've got to say today.
Oh, that was a pretty good mouthful.
Yes, it was.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.
I think we ought to go to the Q&A and see what kind of stuff everybody's thinking about.
Yeah, Grammy had something she wanted to say very briefly before we do that, Drake.
That's fine.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I'm just impressed with everything I'm hearing today. I love all of you so much and all of the listeners. You know, it is very, very difficult for any of us. That doesn't just include the listeners. For any of us to believe anything we're told anymore. Because we've all been lied about so much for so long. When my sons were 4, I dreamt they were going to go home before me. And I was to do just 4 things. To laugh and love and trust the Great Spirit no matter what. I did. I do. I always will. I have no fear. And some of you have mentioned that to me. That is why I have no fear. Let go. Let the Great Spirit. You have a choice. Love or fear. I choose love. I choose to love all of you, no matter what. God bless.
Grammy J, thank you so very much.
Yeah, that was very well put, Grammy. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
What people
Okay.
need to realize real quick out there, it isn't your anger and your hate that's going to get this done, folks. Make no mistake, that's not what we're asking for. You should be angry because of the love you have in your hearts. And that love has to be the catalyst to get us to defend each other. Hate will not work. It's going to take a lot of love to see this one through.
Yes, and like Rick said before, come to the center of the room, please, we beg you. Put your arms around each other and stand against the bad people, not against each other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to thank Jim Lovell. He just sent in a quote that we need to have people consider and think about, too, and that is, a criminal is one who takes control of that which belongs to someone else.
Yes, and can we please go to Q&A so these people can get their questions answered that I know
absolutely. We have a lot of, yes, we have a lot of really good questions, too. So let's get started. You ready, Drake? Drake?
Yeah.
Okay, take a sip. Wet your whistle. Okay. Drake, do you have any updates on troop movement?
Yeah, but I can't say anything.
Okay. Some of these are, do we know when the Iraqi dinar will revalue?
It's pretty close now. Should be closer than people think. But I'd say within the next little bit.
Okay.
You don't want to say
2 weeks?
Right?
Okay. That's a standing joke now. Okay. All right.
Yes, it is.
Okay, this is a question from Angel. How do I tune into the frequencies that are coming in so that I don't get a sunburn? Because I was roasted today by the sun.
Well, that's a semi-personal thing. And if people will go out into the sunlight, okay, pick a part that isn't roasted, and feel the adjust. Now, this is interesting. You can feel what the light's doing to you. Adjust yourself in terms of what you're feeling to where it is a balmy, nice, warm feeling instead of the prickly kind of problem you had yesterday. That's how you adjust your frequency so that you do not have problems with the sun. Okay?
Okay, because he furthers that with, if the answer is meditation and you were doing a guided meditation with me, what kinds of questions would you be asking me, or what would you make me visualize so that I can harmonize and tune into the frequencies?
Okay, that's something that goes along with each individual and is different for each individual and is handled differently individually. So the answer to that is just as diverse as there are fingerprints, and I don't think we got that much time.
Okay. All right, next question. When the banking system gets redone, is the money that we have right now going to absolutely be worthless, or are we any closer to knowing the answer to that?
Oh, I'd say 2 weeks or sooner we'll know the answer to that. How's that one?
Okay.
Oh, boy, here we go. Here we go again.
Yeah, they're going to hold your feet to the fire on that one, Drake. Okay, you mentioned you are a member of the Civilian Project. Can you tell us what that is and how you might be involved?
I think I elucidated to that on Weber's show. Basically what it is where ETs get involved with our development and help us in the direction we need to develop. So the people like me are a little more capable than the average and can assist others in the process. That's the ideology and scope of the project in a quickie overview. Okay?
Okay. Drake, are we still expecting something big to happen at the RNC in Florida?
Yeah, I keep hearing things, and, you know, the rumors are growing and they're getting more obtuse. I don't know how heavy it's going to register on the Richter scale, but it's supposed to be pretty cool. We'll just have to wait and see.
Okay. Let's see. I have some 1924 Dawes and Young German gold bonds guaranteed by the U.S. and J.P. Morgan. Banks worldwide still refuse to redeem them. In the 90s, Daddy Bush stopped a trading program with the bonds as an asset. Will these and other historical bonds be redeemed after the change?
Yes.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer. All right. Is there any way ET can beam Julian Assange of WikiLeaks out of London and get him over to Ecuador?
Just to be not to be actually funny, but to actually address the situation. There's some technical issues that need to be resolved, and I hope Scotty gets done with them soon enough to beam Mr. Assange wherever he wants to go.
Okay. All right. Okay, this is from Robert. In the Mid-Atlantic, the chemtrails have not been slowing down. They have been increasing, blanketing the entire Mid-Atlantic. And he says he's military police, so please tell the now reactivated generals to issue him a couple more MPs, some Air Force air traffic controllers to track the aircraft, and my friends at 29th ID 3rd Square from Afghanistan some orders to track down and arrest these chumps.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. Regarding all the political officials, bankers, and dirty people's ill-gotten gains, will they have their actions/records gone over with a fine-tooth comb and those funds confiscated from the individuals?
Among many other things, yes.
Okay. What was the point of promoting the video that included Major General Vallely on dishonorable disclosure?
The point was that this government doesn't even treat its own right. And what you got is a lot of people thinking they got a ticket to ride. And guess what? You about to get a surprise because you got a ticket to ride and they're not going to protect you and you're on your own and didn't even bother to tell you that. Ain't that wonderful? Next.
Okay. Are the white hats that you mentioned on last Wednesday's program the same ones who publish the White Hat Report?
Yes.
Okay. I nearly fell through the floor when someone asked you about the markings on their hand and asked you if you knew what it meant because it just happened to me as well. A friend joked that it was put there by the aliens, knowing of my interest in aliens and ETs. The marking has been forwarded to you, Drake. Can you tell me what it might mean, and is it something that the light or the dark are doing?
That's a good question. I haven't seen it yet. As soon as I do, I'll answer that in email.
Right. I haven't seen it come through either, I don't think. Okay. Please resend that, listener, and we'll make sure it gets to Drake and title it Skin Markings or something like that so we'll be able to identify your message. Okay. Many of our listeners, Drake, want further explanation on the JFK signatures on the documents. Can you explain or elaborate?
Explain what? They're real.
Okay.
The documents are real. JFK, I don't know if anybody knows the history. JFK got pretty much his back crushed. And from that point on, I forget the name of the PT thing. I keep thinking PT 93 or something. That may not be the right number, but
PT 109.
Okay, well, it got blown out from under him, and he was sinking, and somebody grabbed him, and they floated him to shore, and he was basically laying helpless for quite some time before he even regained any capabilities at all. He couldn't eat for several days. When anybody that has had any kind of really extreme injury to their back, the basic nerves come down from your head through your neck and go through the spinal column and are dispersed from there into various portions of your body. That man never was able to sign. Some days he couldn't get out of bed, and people don't know this about the man. You got the extreme pain, you got a whole bunch of things that goes with this. One of the things is that this goes to is that he never signed any documents the same way twice. Some days he couldn't write. I mean, the guy was physically shredded pretty much. So you got that involvement. Now, mentally and other than his back, he was a very capable individual. Now, the things that he did, basically, in terms of this gold, this was the reason he was killed. He was going to do away with the central banking system, and the oligarchs, Richies, super rich, whatever you want to call them, decided that was the end of him. And you see who lost that particular skirmish. He's no longer with us. And
okay.
The reason he is because he was going to change things.
Okay. Drake, you often mention the Articles of Confederation. Doesn't the Constitution replace the Articles of Confederation? Most sources are saying that it does. The first entries into the statutes at large were the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, but not the Articles of Confederation or the Northwest Ordinance. Why is this an issue?
Because people like to make it into one, and the basis of it is this. The Articles of Confederation never were rescinded. You'll go look it up. I'm not going to do your homework for you, but that basically what that states is that they are still as fully operational today as they ever were. The Constitution and other agreements that are associated with its time of official documentation have a tendency to try to refine the Articles of Confederation and define some things that were left out and these sorts of things of that nature. So if you combine the two, and specifically the 1787 Constitution, including the 13th Amendment that miraculously disappeared from it, I will suggest that the two working together would solve a lot of the problems, and I'm in a bunch of them.
Okay. All right. And the next one's kind of a lengthy question too, Drake. Okay, the Neil Keenan lawsuit is a civil action, not a criminal action, and should have no resolution to jail anyone. Most lawsuits take years to get to a hearing with all the motions, refilings, etc. The cabal puppets are running the government, all three branches, including the courts, and why would they allow it to get to trial or result in the desired outcome?
No, that's interesting. I think somebody missed something here, and it wasn't me. It says, served upon the following entities and their executives: Union Bank of Switzerland, UBS, Bank for International Settlements, BIS, order to cease and desist criminal acts. Okay, now, anybody that does not wish to understand the fact that these are criminal, that they have perpetrated criminal acts, does not understand that the auxiliaries of law stipulate that anyone who predicates their innocence upon not being criminally liable becomes criminally liable for their actions. They knew what they were doing and promulgated a fraud upon the people, as well as a whole bunch of other people. And a civilian action does result in prosecution when facts of a criminal nature are brought forth in terms of the specific acts of an individual or group of individuals. A group of individuals comes under the RICO statutes, which these people probably should because they acted in consort with each other as a group. So, yeah, you want to go look the law up, go do some research, please. Okay?
Okay, Drake, is there an update on financial meltdown or mass arrest?
Yeah, they're both on the way. You just have to wait and see.
Okay. Okay, Drake, can you speak to, or will Terry Hinkle be coming on our show?
Well, I would love to. I speak to Terry off and on. It's not real regular as it was, but she's extraordinarily busy with her debt collection shows. She's got 3 of those, and she individually helps people resolve their legal debt problems. I have invited her.
We will say we would be thrilled to have her if she has the time.
Well, I have invited her, and she said that when she gets really unbusy, she'll consider that after she takes a break.
Okay, great. Okay, we would all, I know, we would all love to have her. Okay, are those organizing the cleanup acting on any plans currently to resolve what has been termed the masquerade and what the Freemasons refer to as a cloak on a social and karmic level?
Do that one again. I think somebody added some stuff in there. I didn't quite catch something.
Okay. Are those organizing the cleanup acting on any plans currently to resolve what has been termed the masquerade and what the Freemasons are referring to as a cloak on a social and karmic level?
Yes. Almost everything that you can think of that's that keeps us or prevents us from being what and how we should be, that's detrimental to our existence, etc., are being attended to on one level, usually on more than one level at the same time.
Okay. I would also like to announce that during the program I have been messaged by Alfred Lieberman Weber III, and Alfred will be interviewing Drake on Monday, and it will be a private interview. There won't be, like live listening or calling in, but the following day, Tuesday, the 21st of August, on Alfred's website, he will be broadcasting on Exopolitics TV his interview from the night before with Drake. So I wanted to let everybody know that, and we will provide links and everything. I'll let my admins know that we need to get links out to Alfred's website for that coming up on Monday the 21st. Okay. All right. Next question, Drake. My husband and I are faced with foreclosure on September 21st from Chase Bank. Do you know if the banks may come down before that? Bless their hearts, these people are scared to death.
Well, I can tell you this, that when the lawsuits are reinitiated, you're going to find that everything goes into a holding pattern. I'm going to say, when I say everything, I mean everything. One of the main problems with this is that you're going to find that as these banks are put into the squeeze, that a lot of the electronic banking everybody's used to ain't going to work anymore. And this is why I suggest that you got 2-3 weeks of cash, something along there, whatever you can afford to have with you, along with some foodstuffs. And or if you can afford it, get some junk silver, which is coinage, 64 and before, so that you can have means to continue to operate. Now, whether you'll be going to work or not, I don't know yet. There's a lot of things that goes into this that we're not sure what the effects are going to be altogether. But
okay.
It's coming, and it's going to be real, and it's very, very close, okay?
Okay. Thank you, Drake. Okay. Next question. I understand that during a 72-plus hour of a mass arrest, there will be an international communications lockdown for those of us not in the United States. How will we be able to know what is happening? Is there an outlet for information or media to the rest of the world, or will America be in total isolation from the rest of the globe?
That's all of the above. Basically what you got is two situations. The communications within the country will not be affected extraordinarily. The communications across our borders will be. So will any travel across our borders at that time. The second part of this is that if there's something going on that needs to be announced here, it will be. That does not mean it's going to be total isolation. However, it will, in a sense, be, it will be an isolationist move, but the reason for it is so that there can be security in not allowing wire transfers of all the rest of the assets out of the country and keeping people under control, basically. So that control mechanism is going to be placed in effect for a period of time. We're supposed to be notified 24 hours ahead of the time that they are finished so that we can get the word out to the people on our level. Now, you're also going to have public and very open presentation as to what has transpired, why, and where we are at the present point. You're going to have a combination of that and education as well, because we're changing a bunch of things in this process. And a lot of people need to know what those changes are. Primarily, you're going to come out on the top of the totem pole for a change, looking down at the nasties that have been standing on your head for so long. So the differences, the changes, yeah, they're going to happen, but it's not going to be something where we are permanently isolated, but only temporarily. After that isolation, then you'll have a lot of the social, economic, and structural conditions are to be modified. As those modifications are made, they will be told to the people, okay? The advantages are going to be that you are not going to be subject any longer to financial control in terms of banking. That's the basic idea. NESARA being one of the things that people will have an option to activate. There are people that have hidden away copies, similarly to the plan that I mentioned. These are in very secure, safe places. Nobody will ever find them without somebody knowing about it. And knowing that these things exist is making a whole lot of the bad guys in the intel community go absolutely crazy. They can't find it. They can't validate it. Nobody will talk to them. Help. So it's kind of fun in a way. Next.
Okay. This one says, it's from Susan. I dreamt that September 7th is a pivotal or D-Day, major green light. My dreams are usually very uncanny and accurate. Has anyone else, in particular Drake, had a similar confirmation?
Well, now, I keep trying to tell you guys, 2-3 weeks, something along in there, and people don't pay attention. I think the 2-3 weeks covers that date.
Okay.
I'm just going to let that hang right there.
Okay. All right. All right, this one says, the video that you posted, Drake, about Obama's disclosures featuring Major General Paul Vallely. It's kind of a couple questions. Vallely had co-authored a book in 1980 with then PSYOP analyst Michael Aquino entitled From PSYOP to Mind War, The Psychology of Victory. Then he goes into mind war is defined as the deliberate, aggressive convincing of all participants in a war that we will win that war. It admits that the difference between mind war and cynical or deceptive propaganda from the perspective of the audience is difficult, if not impossible, to perceive. Okay, Vallely has another book entitled Endgame, The Blueprint for Victory in the War on Terror, which sells the phony war on terror. His co-author of Mind War, Aquino, was notorious for his involvement in a Church of Satan and the Temple of Set. So does this mean, is Vallely a good guy or a bad guy?
He'd be a good guy. That's why he's started to take issue with some of the things that have been bugging him for a long time, and he's had complaints for a while now that, what are we going to do with this turkey? Look at the mess he's making. Okay, well, then you go along the extra step further. It's sort of like having an agent in the field involved in an operation and naming them. That's the kind of outings that are coming out of the White House. So basically what they're doing is they're putting a lot of people's lives at stake just for the fun of it, or for, and this is a heck of an excuse, political gain. I mean, it's like the banks funding both sides of the war so they can make money off of it no matter what happens. The same sort of attitude.
Okay.
There you go.
And it is my understanding that Major General Vallely is in contact with us, and we are very possibly going to have him as a guest. So that will be hopefully coming up in the very near future. All right, this question. Yeah, we hope. He's exceedingly busy as well, so we're going to do our very best. Okay. Okay, from the chat room, Drake. What will you do after the mass arrest, seeing as the shows always tie into the possibility of arrests, etc.? Will we continue to be having a show that will be maybe perhaps about ETs or will we continue broadcasting is what they're asking, I think.
Yeah, well, some of the shows coming up are going to be extraordinary. Neil Keenan and I are going to partner up and go about making sure that the releasing of the collateral accounts is done in such a manner that it does attend to humanitarian needs, and that can be just about anything. The second part of this is that I don't think people realize the difference that in and of itself is going to make. But some of the inside information that I have garnered will be able to be fully released. Some of the knowledge that as to the effects of the changes will be able to be released. A lot of this stuff is already known. And what they want to do, when I say they, these are people that are orchestrating and directly involved in these attempts at freedom. What they're going to basically be offering is all of the information I have not been able to offer. We have become a sort of press release point for a lot of these outings of, I don't know what you call it, sensitive information and operations and things being done. So that portion will be continued to a much greater extent as soon as these things happen. Now, along with that, as I said, Neil Keenan and I are going to be personally involved in releasement and making sure that the collateral accounts, the funding in them, is used directly and specifically and only for the betterment of mankind as a whole. Now, people have only heard of a portion of the collateral accounts that we are involved with. There is a great number of them, and they are worldwide. I do want to make that clear. These accounts are basically under the control of Mr. Keenan. He is including me in a manner which we will discuss after the fact that will offer the things that are needed in order to have that better life and start moving mankind as a whole, on the whole planet, into that golden age everybody's thinking about. So bear that in mind and think towards that as a nice sunny future, and then you see what we're striving for just with this simple program. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Drake. From email, could Drake address the continued rumors that the U.S. military is preparing for martial law?
Oh, yeah. That's pretty simple. Don't bet on it, for one. Number two, to take the hillbilly humor out of it, they don't have the capability. And I'm going to explain why. First of all, they got problems financially. When you deal with the government right now, I would suggest you get your costs as the down payment minimum, and hope you get the rest of it. I would put it COD. You pay us this much, we produce a product, and you pay up on delivery. And the reason being is that it has become a longer and longer time between the time that a contract is fulfilled and the time of payment. And then you want to play the let's deduct this and deduct that game with whatever you got left. Further, I've been checking on a regular basis with several military contacts that I maintain, and I have been assured that about 75% are going to go with us without too much question. The other, or remaining 25%, contains some individuals that just never will. But the majority of that secondary number also are looking to follow what we're looking to do, simply because it offers the military a chance to expunge their records. And by that I mean you do not have to have an Einstein brain or be a rocket scientist to understand that the military has been being denigrated or reduced in its prominence. You have cuts coming up that they cannot afford. You've got a combination of exchange of personnel that supposedly is supposed to make Obama stronger. Problem is, you have to exchange the troops as well, or you miss the boat. Now, you're talking somewhere between, last number I heard was around 95%. If they declare martial law, we're taking our equipment and we're going home. And it don't matter where they're at. I want you to consider that. I want you to think about that and think about it very carefully. And they're aware of this. Now what do we do with all that? That's going to be a friggin' mess. I'll tell you right now, they do not have enough command people on their own to secure much more than a larger latrine. So how are they going to secure the nation? They can't. Just a simple fact. They can't do it any longer. So you have to understand those sorts of things, and you have to understand that because their capabilities are slowly lessening and lessening over a period of time, that they're going to have to try extraordinary measures. One of them is propaganda, where they offer fear porn. We're coming to get you. We'll declare martial law if you don't act right. Well, whoopity-doo, you know. What do you do with all the people that are armed that ain't going to put up with that? What are you going to do with all the militias who are, and a lot of them are chomping at the bit. They'd love to see it. They'd love to see some kind of idiot put up a roadblock. They're itching to shoot somebody, okay? And Rick and I have a heck of a time keeping a lid on these people. They are really adamant about going and doing something to somebody. And there's a lot of people that are just plain tired. This is why it's called voter apathy. This is why people don't bother to vote. They are pretty sure that it won't do any good. And guess what? They're right. It don't matter which candidate.
Can I ask a question, Drake?
Sure.
You did a lot of speaking, honey, about Obama today, and you normally do not go into that much detail there. Is there any truth to the link that's going around that Obama is going to resign?
I can't answer that.
Enough said.
I would say keep your fingers crossed, Rammy J.
Yeah, everybody think positive thoughts, okay?
Yeah, let's throw some positive energy into that one, folks. Come on.
Definitely. I think that's the only one we've seen.
I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
touch on something real quick about what Drake said. And this is something for everybody to consider. Think about it, folks. Come on. Think real hard about this martial law thing. How hard it's been pushed across the internet. And how fear has installed in people to keep them afraid to step to the plate of freedom.
Yeah.
I hope what I just said rung a bell. Get over that fear, folks. Let's go. Let's move it. Let's do what we got to do here. Not asking people to be violent. I'm asking you to reach across the table. Gather everybody that loves freedom together and look them dead in the eye. Because, folks, when that day comes, you're going to watch them crawl away. You're going to watch them crawl away. They're going to know they ain't going to be able to defeat those numbers.
Now, I've been taught, too, Rick, that since Lincoln was in office and assassinated, that we have actually been under martial law since that time.
Well, no, I beg to differ. I've been arguing that fact all along. There's some people that want you to think those kind of things. That's why a lot of this propaganda has been put out there, folks. It's a mind war. You know, Vallely wrote a book on this stuff. Go read the book. He's telling you exactly what we're trying to tell you here. This is a war against your minds. And like in the article, the rules I read, it asked all of you, free yourself of that. How are you going to be free with freedom if you can't free yourself from that, folks? It's up to each one of you guys. You guys are going to have to just learn how to do this yourselves. It's your responsibility. You've got great speakers out there, not just me and Drake and Global Voice. There's a lot of people out there starting to chime the same tune. I'm finding it amazing this Brandon Smith was on the same page I was, have been, preaching the same thing to people. Same thing.
Yep.
Folks, you got those people pointing this stuff out to you, and we're not trying to lead you to doom. We're trying to show you how to open yourselves up and deal with the pain free.
You're breaking up, Rick.
To win, you want to win, you got to be able to do what it takes to win. You can't wait on somebody else. You've got the other things out there going for you. They need you behind them. They're stuck in the mud.
Yep.
They're stuck in the mud. And it's going to take you guys to push so you can free them up to be able to help you get things done.
Can I throw something in here, please? This question is repeatedly being asked by people, Drake. What about the strange linguistics of the Hilton Green Docks? Not very well written in legalese. Perhaps they've been translated into English from another language or written by someone without English as a first language. Can you address that, Drake?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. When a person who has lived their whole life in a specific culture other than something based in English, you get a lot of translational fun and games. This is one of the great problems that people who have a foreign language background who learn to speak English later have. When you get excited and you try to translate in your head, it sticks, and you get a lot of this stuff. So, and this is common, and it can be English to Russian, it could be English to Italian. It doesn't matter. You're going to get stuck simply because you're not real familiar with it. And when you call for a hurry-up on an official document, and if you don't hurry up, it's off with your head, you have a tendency to write as quickly as possible. So some of that is not necessarily legalese. It won't come out that way and couldn't at the time. Just that simple.
Thank you, Drake.
Thank you, Drake. Thank you. Okay, Drake, here's a question for you, too. Should we be able to use shortwave radios possibly for communication during the, quote, change? And does Drake have a shortwave radio that he can keep people up to date on things?
I've got all kinds of different communications equipment I ain't going to go into, but my understanding is that it has been one of the great suggestions that everybody who can and knows how to operate a shortwave radio get one and do so. There is a great network already in place. So, and during, I'll mention this, during almost every disaster, you've had shortwave on the air and nothing else. So that should tell you that because it's a 12-volt based system, or can be powered that way, that it's not a bad idea. Now, personally, I got one of those survival radios. It's got several bands on it, and I can listen in. So I know what's going on at the very least. And I have used it. I've also got two-way systems that I can talk on public access. This would be your emergency responders, wavelengths, and other things. Now, I'm going to slowly build up a communication center here, but for right now, shortwave is, yes, definitely recommended. Don't be stupid. Careful. It can get expensive real quick. Okay?
Okay. Thank you, Drake. Next question. Murdoch, both father and son, have evidently resigned from News Corp, which is a subsidiary board of Fox News. Do you know if Fox News here in the United States and elsewhere might be used as part of disclosure on any front as we progress into our freedom?
Well, you might want to take note that the people that were the puppets that were in charge are not in charge anymore, and if you will watch some of Fox News now and then, they actually are reporting some real news.
That is correct.
And so you got them, and you've also got CBS. They, I understand, are also being freed up in some ways. So you can watch a combination of things and see little snippets here and there. A lot of the times I hit the mute button and just watch the ticker underneath each one. You also have a lot of fun and games on the weekend on the news. When they don't think anybody's listening, they put old news shows on just as filler. When I say old, it goes all the way back to as early as 1998. And so that tells me that overnight there was no news because it's sunny here. Yeah, right. That means that everybody quit arguing and fighting and whatever else is going on. Yeah, okay. I believe everything that they tell me too.
Okay.
I want to tip our hat to NBC too. We'll make a note that NBC released an article on the Idaho Lightfoot militia, and it was an excellent article, folks.
Ooh, yes.
One of the first ones of its kind. It's starting to go.
Good. Word's starting to get out. Okay, well, here's something kind of sort of related. The John Moore Show on August 17th talked about 150 military men with Holder coming into Canadian airport and going over the border. How true is this? Do we know?
I didn't check on that. I saw it, and I just let it go.
Okay. If we can have, if I can have some of my admins do some searching around and seeing if we could find anything to validate anything of that nature, I would appreciate that, and we will address that. Okay, here are a couple questions from our member, Michael Black. Thank you very much, Michael, for your questions. What are your impressions, Drake, of Dr. Stephen Greer and the Disclosure Project and the Sirius documentary?
My opinion?
Yeah, your impressions or opinion. You may or may not have had time to...
Oh, no, I have. It's like with anything else. Some things are... A lot of this stuff that you're going to hear, and it doesn't matter who puts it out or how well done. It does not matter how well researched. If you do not have the knowledge of the ancient sciences, to include those that nobody wants to mention, to include the up-to-date sciences, which are an off-take of the ancient ones, that's first. Number two, you do not have a working capacity and knowledge of psychic sciences and spirituality. You're going to find that portions are not as correct as other portions, although there is a great gamut or a great amount of truth in what is put out. And that's my opinion of the whole of it, to include the websites and this person's work. I can say that he does better work than most. Okay?
Okay. Great, Drake. What do you see as the most important category of data or area of knowledge that a newly awakened person should focus on first?
Well, I would suggest two or three areas, actually. One would be the financial history, to include the quote, royal families involved in it. Another would be governmental structure. And the third one would be the sociological and psychological impacts of knowing that there is a greater force than yourself, either in use by you or available to you. When you start looking into this, there are several very good literary works. One of those is How Telepathy Works. If you can find that, snatch it up and read it, study it. You'd be amazed. This gives you the basis for most of the psychic sciences. Now, psychic sciences are those things where you cause physical results. By that, I mean you can hear someone's thoughts before they speak them. You can cause things to move with powers available to you. You can look into future events in some instances. You can get a feel for whether or not Mother Nature is unsettled. You'll know the day before the thunderstorms get to you that they're coming. You'll be able to tell whether or not an animal likes something or a plant appreciates what you're doing for it. There's an extreme, I don't know what you'd call it, area. It's extremely wide. It's like the electromagnetic spectrum. It goes all the way from off the deep end in one side to all the way off the deep end on the other. And when I say deep end, I'm not talking about in the squirrely stuff that people, and I'm talking about everybody can use. I'm talking about you get into areas that you didn't know existed. So as you develop, and it takes a bit of time. You're talking 6 months to a year, basically, of getting things down in terms of practice and all that. This goes to the last part of this. Everybody's going to get woke up in very short order. I'm not going to say any time frame. I'm just going to say very short order. And I would suggest everybody who can start learning. At least you have a basic knowledge of how it's supposed to go generally. This will help you greatly. If you're standing there and you're naked and you ain't got nothing, no idea, and all of a sudden you become an angel, oh, what do you do? How do you flap your wings? I mean, can I walk? I mean, I look like I'm floating above the ground. Oh, my goodness, that ain't right. You have a basic understanding of things. You'll understand how these things work, what your limitations are, and how to actually function within that area. So, and it's coming whether you're ready or not. That's the one of the very great concerns, that people be ready. Now, I know how people drive, and I've seen how some people walk, and I'm thinking, oh my God, what happens when they can fly? Ooh, what a mess that's going to be. So I'm wondering if I'll just stay in the house and close the door and lock the windows,
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody think about this. This is coming, so get ready, okay?
Yep, that's the reason I played that song. People get ready.
There you go.
Because a change is going to come. Okay.
Yep, great choice.
All right. Drake, is the LaRouche organization involved in any of the actions that are taking place, because they used to be considered a communist organization?
I'll say yes, they're involved, and that's all I'm going to say.
Okay. Let's see. Next question is, global bankster crime has defrauded the world. Their casino has indebted individuals and bankrupt municipal, state, and sovereign governments and crashed economies everywhere. This is kind of a long, lengthy question. The perversity of the recent LIBOR interest rate rigging scandal is incredible, and struggling as I am with consumer debt, I believe my contract to repay has been violated and broken, that it is null and no longer and void. I no longer wish to pay my obligations. I just don't know how to apply the right principles and do it legally and properly and not have it completely ruin my life. Can we possibly, Drake, address this and maybe have steps that an individual can take posted on your website?
No, that would take the Cornell Law Library to explain that to an individual.
Could we put them in touch maybe with Terry Hinkle and her debt
They might be able to help.
program?
Now,
Okay.
here's the thing. I suggest to everybody, if you're capable, go ahead and take care of your obligations as they are presently. At one point or another in the very near future, a lot of those obligations are not going to be obligations any longer. Whether anybody likes that or not, I can't help it. And how long it's going to take? Well, I don't know. You know, you're going to have to sit there.
The sooner we all move, the sooner it'll take place, right?
Well, not exactly that so much. You've got 2 or 3 things involved. Freedom is what we're striving for. Each and every last one of us wants that. We can taste it. The problem with that is that you have to remove the power. One of those is financial. Another of those is the extraordinary mess they've made of the structure, and that includes the legal field, etc. The governmental structure as a whole has to be changed, and I'm talking about a major overhaul. You're going to get a new engine. It's going to be different than when you had before. The things that you know about this are all going to change. There'll be a whole bunch of people running down to the library going back to school. Okay, the third part of this, and this is the main thing, is the sociological structure will be based upon the ideology of the simple morality of the Golden Rule in conjunction with common law of, first of all, the Golden Rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And the common law backing of that is if you have not harmed an individual or destroyed property, there basically is no crime. So you may be detained rather than arrested in the near future. And by detained, I mean until you're no longer harmful to yourself or others, then they turn you loose. And you're going to be okay. They try to make sure you're all right. If you're too drunk to drive and you're intended upon doing it anyway, the sheriff would drop you in a drunk tank or a cell or whatever until such time as you slept it off, and then take you back to your car. The simple idea of being a proactive individual. You don't need to be charged with a crime because you had too many beers. What you need is to sure that you're safe on the way going home, both for yourself, whatever property is involved, a car or truck, whatever's going on in terms of the conveyance, and all the other people that are out there. A drunk that's walking down the sidewalk weaves from side to side. Well, what happens when he falls out in the street in traffic? Well, you're talking about endangering not only yourself but others. These are the things of consideration for our safety that have been misused. It's now a misdemeanor at the very least just to be intoxicated in public. Give me a break. Have somebody take the dude home. He's obviously not in condition to drive if he can't walk too well. Some people, and I don't know how they do it, and I didn't find out about it personally until a later date, were fried. And they drove just as good as anybody I've ever seen drive. Just as articulate. But boy, you didn't want to try to get them out of that car and have them stand up. That was the wrong thing to do. They'd fall right over. Guaranteed. They were totally sheets to the wind, done. But they could operate that vehicle just fine. And I mean very carefully, very concisely, no problems. And I rode with one individual for some 4 years before I found this out. It was a shock to me. And it was pointed out by another relative. Don't ride. You ride with him often? I said, yeah, I've been doing it for a... You are awful lucky. That's what you mean. He's fried. I said, do what? He has to have help getting up from the lawn chair or off the porch to get into his vehicle. They help him in. Once he's sitting down, he's fine. You couldn't tell that the man had ever had a drink in his life. But they told me, and I stayed away from it, and I was glad I did. That dummy finally messed up. He did it in the right way. He hit a very old police car and rear-ended it. No other car on the street but him and the police car. Late at night. Nobody was injured. But he got the attention he needed. He's been rectified, so to speak. So what's the responsibility levels? How are you responsible for freedom to everybody and everything else? You're not allowed to arbitrarily take of someone else's labor. just because you're there. So you're going to have a lot of the, quote, governmental control programs and whatnot that are not going to be so easily available. These things, as I understand it, are going to be changed. You're going to take the allocations for, quote, the program, put them on a trading platform, and if you don't know what that is, go look it up. You will get returned that money, whatever it was invested, and you have to invest a certain amount. It's pretty big. But you get a return on that money about every 10 days, 2 weeks, something along there, on average. If you get that kind of return, and it's a steady deal, that will fund large things such as Social Security, the military, whatever. This can give us a padding if need be, if that is the structure that is still left. Now, some of this is looking towards a moneyless society, so it may be a situation where you're simply put it doing something, you know, that you like anyway, that you got some talent for, you know, and they make sure you got clothes and food for that. That's pretty cool. Using E.T. has mentioned, and several people have mentioned, and you've seen it on Star Trek, called a food replicator. That would solve the hunger problem. I mean, you know, we need to take a boatload of them over to Africa and start sticking them on trees or something real quick. There's a lot of people in the world that are hungry. They need the assistance. Now, I don't know how far this goes. I do not know how we're going to be able to have some form of control in a totally free society. That's going to be a real difficult question. Everybody's going to have to figure out how to do that. So there you go. Complicated answer to a complicated question.
Okay. Derek, I just want to let everybody know we're down to like 20 minutes, and we still have a lot of really, really great questions. If you would, people, if you're having any difficulties whatsoever, or we reach the end of time and we're about to go off air, I want to let you know that once again, globalvoiceradio.net is simulcasting the program. You can go to globalvoiceradio.net and then click on the Listen Now button, and you can call in at 805-399-1200. That's 805-399-1200, and then the password is 153938# to listen via telephone. And that way you will be uninterrupted when we go off the air to continue listening. As usual with our program, when we go off the air, you would have to wait and listen in to the archive after the fact if you're not on the call board. Okay, and Drake, would you mind if we take a 5-minute break while I screen and take in some callers just take a 5-minute break?
Oh, go for it.
Before we continue? Okay, I appreciate that, everybody. We're going to take just a quick 5-minute break and be right back. Okay, we are back. That's the great Charlie Daniels, one of everybody's favorites, I hope. Okay, ready, Drake? Are you back with us?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Drake, next question. Will you have a part in our new government when this all goes down?
We'll have to see how things work out in that respect. I've been offered a variety of different positions, and I would gladly serve my country in any way they see that I'm needed.
And I would say that we would gladly support you.
I second that.
Okay. Let's see. Drake, are the mass arrests off the table, and why don't you talk about them so much anymore?
I was requested to just let that ride, and that's what I'm doing.
Okay. Drake, I'm confused about the activity that's going around in my community. Flyovers by U.S. Army using Night Stalker helicopters. They refer to this as an urban terrain training. And the bulletproof tanks that are being paid for with grant money through the Department of Human Services, or DHS. You stated that the military is for the people. Who is the DHS for?
Department of Homeland Security is for themselves.
Homeland Security.
I raised several issues. One of those is Social Security getting armed. You've got SWAT teams visiting people's gardens. A lot of these cabal-supported entities are no longer going to have the powers that they do. Now, in terms of training, you have to remember that that is a two-way street. You have a majority in the military who are good guys. They're waiting for the opportunity. And when it hits, they're going to grab it with both hands.
Okay.
There's a whole lot of reasons for that. One is they can take the tarnishing off of their military uniform and stand proud knowing that they are doing the right thing, for one. And number two, the tarnishment then becomes pointless because they are there, and there they are, and they're with us. And there isn't anything too much better than that, in my opinion. Go ahead.
Okay. Next question, Drake, is can Drake comment on the intention of the Black Panthers to possibly gather at the RNC? Following past events, they intended always to cause trouble and perhaps at the least to interrupt things and get TV coverage. In order to prevent this, might the militia or other groups also gather there to balance things out?
There's going to be a lot of opposing viewpoints at the RNC. The problem you have is that the infiltration of the bad guys into a combination of supposed community groups, supposed independents, is such that a lot of the people that are involved in these things are paid to do so. They're given specific instructions. One of the things that is prevalent, and Rick and I have both mentioned this, is the divisionary activities. It looks on the surface like, ooh, it's the Black Panthers. That must mean all black people hate white people. Not really, and it ain't the other way around either. A lot of people are beginning to understand that the planet is too small for that sort of division, first of all. Number two, they want you to be separated in terms of an animostic attitude. That means you're mad at them just because of their skin color, whether it's white, black, or what it is. You're different from them. They're different from you. We disagree. Well, that is the operation. It's an actual real operation called division. That's the name of it. And it is designed and supported by funds to Black Panthers and others. And, oh, they're going to love that one. Whether they like it or not, I've become aware of it. I found the sources. You'll find George Soros, his stamps on some of it, and others that are not looking to the betterment of our country or our freedom, either one. They want us subject as slaves. And if the Black Panthers would realize that all they are doing is subjecting themselves to a different type of slavery, then they might think about maybe taking that objection back to the people that said, "Oh, we'll fund you, we'll give you a grant," or whatever. Think about that. Nobody has done any of the real work necessary to free people from financial bondage. You'll find this in every poor section of every major city. Nobody's tried to help. Nobody has really tried to make a difference. And the problem is that the majority of the people that would be helped or are affected are the ones that are needed most to declare and stand up for their freedom from the oppression that's been perpetrated on them purposely. I mean, it's on purpose that you are in this situation and condition you are in, and this is directly orchestrated by the government. So this system in its entirety, to include all the individuals involved, man, we got a big trash can we're going to have to fill. Next question.
Yeah. Okay. Drake, if the military's on our side, then why isn't the Pentagon or any of the military that is on our side allowing things like Brandon Robb to continue to occur when he is even one of their own?
They're not in a position of control yet. When that arrives, you're going to find a whole bunch of changes suddenly. Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Well, that one's too loaded of a question, and that would take another show. They were asking you to bring the forefront or about the 9/11 conspiracy, and discuss all of that. Okay, but we will address that question via email, perhaps. Okay, let's see.
Wait a minute. Let me address the 9/11 thing.
Okay, you want me to read the question?
No. I'm going to just give it a little dissertation. 9/11 was a big falsie. Anybody don't know what a falsie is? Look it up. You got a dictionary? Look it up. It'll tell you. Now, you got to remember
they were asking if it was about gold and commodities.
It's a combination of things. There are a combination of controlling factors in that. One was it was a very public display of a capability and power which the people who were blamed for it don't have and never did and never will. And I hate to blow people's minds, Al-Qaeda don't exist, people. It's a fictitious imagination of a lot of money going in the wrong direction for the wrong purposes. Now, taking into the 9/11 thing, look at who was responsible, and you'll find the answers to your questions. Look to those who were in position to have changed that. And the fact that 6 weeks beforehand we got official communiques from several governments who are allies of ours stating that this was going to happen on such and such a date. They gave the correct date. Some of them gave the time of day. And nobody did squat. I don't like that very much. I'm sure the 3,000 some people that died from it don't like it very much. So we need, if you want to look up 9/11, there are several comprehensive reports on the internet. It takes a whole book to explain that. Next question.
Yeah. Okay.
Let me add something to that real quick. Just come real fast. It also launched one of the biggest oppressors of the people called the Department of Homeland Security, which, if anybody checks, the Department of Homeland Security has subjugated every law enforcement agency in the United States, including the FBI.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I think that should answer a lot of questions.
Okay. Okay, next question is, Drake, if the cabal is still in control of the chemtrails, is the sweet smell that you referred to on the last show maybe referring not to the cleaning, but rather to the smell of the chemtrails?
No, okay, what's happening is those are being addressed in varying areas. Right now, the forces have not been fully marshaled in order to deal with that. As they become available, that's one of the first things on their list. So all of a sudden, expect us not see any more of them, okay?
Okay. And one more question. We've got about 5 minutes left before we go off air. We will continue to answer questions after the fact. But one more question I'd like to try to get in before we do is, Drake, do you have any information on a bank apparently somewhere in the world which will allow us to create our own line of credit issuing promissory notes? And do you know what country that bank would be in and what it might be called?
One of the financial centers is going to be here. There's going to be several of them. And it won't be a promissory note as much as one might think, but there will be a credit mechanism involved. And there are 5 plans, basic plans, that differ in different ways from each other, being offered for the world to agree upon so that we will have a world control, open, honest, above-board banking system. Okay?
Okay. All right. And if Rick or Grammy or you, Drake, had any last-minute comments before we do go off air, and I will let you know that, again, we will continue past time for the remaining of these questions and to take some of our callers. If you had anything.
I've stated several things about several entities. I would like to find out exactly where the Social Security Administration needs all that ammunition. I'd like to know why people in education need 12-gauge shotguns and body armor. It does not make sense. I would like to make a big stink about all this, and it's been made to an extent, but not nearly loud enough. I would request each and every last person on this show, everybody that you know, start rising up the bow, get your phone out and make some calls. Find out who's doing what to who.
Okay. Rick? Yeah.
Hey, remember Brandon Robb, folks? Don't let your brother down. Let's get this Marine back home, and let's get that link spread out instead of, well, here comes martial law, everything else that's bad in the world, doom and gloom. Let's share some good stuff for once. Let's get that link moving, folks. Let's just plaster that baby all over the place. Let's get these groups to come to the center, join up, and look at our adversaries in the eye and say, what you going to do? And we'll be the ones for once to look at them and say, now what you going to do about this?
Right. Grammy, any closing statement?
I would just like to say what I always say. May the Great Spirit bless you and your loved ones and our planet and beyond.
Absolutely. Okay, with that, we close for our on-air portion of this program today, August 19th, and we will return on Wednesday with our regular program, and I urge all of you to watch our Facebook page for the upcoming announcement of the broadcast with Drake and Alfred Weber. So I thank you all for being with us, and we will continue in overtime. Thank you so much. Okay, we are back, and got a few more great questions, it looks like, Drake, to ask you. And let's see.
Okay.
Just got to enlarge my window here. Okay. Just a couple more that were text questions from either email or chat room, and then we will go to a few callers. Okay. Will Social Security payments stop altogether, Drake? Do you have any more knowledge about that? And when they do, and if and when they come back, will they be at the same amount or adjusted for fairness?
Well, first of all, the system itself is not being taken down and totally destroyed. Now, a lot of people don't understand that, but it's being attended to in such a manner that those who have perpetrated all the BS on us are not going to be allowed to do so any longer. This is going to free up an extraordinary amount of basic monies. You have to understand that there are assets that have not been committed to things such as Social Security, etc. Several of these are named in different hidden accounts. I think CAFR was the name of it, C-A-F-R. And I named $10 billion per state, which said that was all there was. Well, multiply by 50 and you start getting into the trillions real quick. And with these funds all being returned to the system, I will suggest that a lot of things will not have any kind of bumps in the road at all. Now, as things are readjusted or totally structured, the change will be to a society where these things cannot be used against us. At the point that these things are no longer required, then they won't be done away with. So, yes and no and maybe. Okay?
Okay. Thanks, Drake. All right. Apparently, David Wilcock is being told that Obama is a light worker and part of the solution, whereas you and the Oath Keepers, including myself, and this is a man named Billy, say that Obama is one of the greatest threats to the preservation of the Republic in history. Please clarify.
Okay. No, he's not a light worker. I don't care who says he is. Doesn't matter to me. I can take issue with that. A lot of people have reported that he is, yet the problem was that if you look at the specifically the orders given, you should see that there is a direct animosity toward a combination of both freedom, and the standing and stature of our Constitution, and the legal system in toto, the whole thing. So I cannot accept a man as a light worker until such time as a light worker actually says he is. My contacts in the light worker field tell me that he is not. I'll go with them before I take somebody else's word for it. Okay?
Okay. All right. Is the Venus Project, Jacques Fresco, involved in some way in upcoming change?
Yes.
Okay. We see lately huge amounts of disinformation, especially in Poland. Are the change going to affect them too, and the bad guys of their government and banking system? Will they also be jailed?
the people that are responsible for perpetrating the fraud will be jailed. It doesn't matter where they're at or what particular system or what particular government is involved. They have to answer to the charges for what they've done. Okay?
Okay. Will bad brain programming be revoked on foreign to U.S. countries such as Poland? And will it be will bad brain programming be revoked on foreign to U.S. countries like Poland be performed also? That's a little bit.
Yeah, there are several programs that I know of that are available that can deprogram someone from incorrect thinking to correct thinking. This is not brainwashing. In other words, what do you want? Do you want oppression and slavery or freedom? Simple choices. Once you make your decision, then you will be schooled in what those mean, what they are, and your responsibilities involved in them. And that will, in turn, set that person free.
Okay. Drake, if a major bank should be closed down, could it be possible that it would be taken over in order to continue servicing regular people's accounts, such as regular savings, checking, etc.?
That is going to be a question that will have to be answered as the process continues. It's not something that can be readily answered beforehand. There are plans in process, plans that are waiting to be implemented that may continue operation of some, where others may not be. So it's sort of up in the air a little bit. Okay?
Okay. One more question, and then we'll take some calls. Drake, it is a little bit frustrating to me that maybe others, that on the show everyone seems to keep telling people that it's up to the people, and which is fine. But at the same time, the ones who are writing letters to the military, the militia, the oath keepers, the constitutional sheriffs, etc., they seem to keep waiting too. How many people are being arrested under citizen's arrest, or if at all?
That's a good question. I keep hearing snippets from all over the country, and yet I don't see anything that's making the rounds either on the internet yet, or mainstream media should start picking up on that if that is the case. Now, it's a possibility that somebody played false flag, like a certain person said that the whole militia was to attack the RNC or something silly. And you're going to have these kind of time waster, fun and games people out there. When they waste your time, you didn't have the time to pay attention to the things that were important. That's the object of it, okay? So, yes and no. I've heard unofficial reports, rumors, and this and that. We should know soon as to whether these things are real, okay?
Okay. And here, there was one more question that I missed. Drake, I know someone that uses some kind of ability that he can, like, make women do what they want. For instance, in a bar room, he can just walk up to a woman, and he looks at them and thinks in his mind what he wants them to do. Would you have any idea what he is doing? Is this a form of mind control or hypnotism, or is he possibly, from another planet, or?
Who knows? I'll suggest this, okay? If a person understands how these things work, they have the capability of making another person do things they would not, as such, at that particular point in time, do. Each individual has a psychological makeup. In other words, you've got limitations about what you will or will not do. And so long as you do not violate those, then the person probably could be made to be compliant or do the things that were requested. So what you've got is a mix of a combination of things there that you will have to research in order to really know. But the limitations are real. If a person normally would not do something, they're still not going to do it under a normal situation of mind control or hypnosis, either one. Okay?
Okay. All right. I think we're ready to take phone calls. Kari, you're our first caller. Kari in California.
Hi.
Hi,
Hi,
Kari.
everybody. It's not really a question, just something I would like to say. You know, I've been listening to you, Drake, and to Minuteman and everybody, and I'd like to say God bless, everybody for all that your hard work. And I know that most people will be hearing this in the archives. You know, it's not just one person, one group or two people. It's everybody. And I wholeheartedly agree with everything that they're saying. We need to stop fighting amongst ourselves and stop worrying about who's doing what, you know, and come together, because the word American, if you take the last four letters, I-C-A-N in American, that means I can. If I can do it, so can everybody else.
Oh, excellent point. Excellent point, Kari. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just a one-person effort. It's a we effort. It's a community, and the community is the world. And if we want things to be better, then we have to be the ones to make the change. We need to step up to the plate and put aside the petty differences. I don't care what somebody looks like, where they come from, what religion they practice or don't practice. We are here on this earth for a purpose, and everyone has a purpose and a place. And you know what? The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. And I've battled a few things in my life. I have, in my own way, have fought the devil, and I have kicked him back to hell where he belongs. And that's exactly what we all can do. So everybody needs to stop fearing and kick it in the trash can. And Drake, it's going to take, I think it's going to take more than a few trash cans. I think we're going to need a whole bunch of dumpsters to take out the trash.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I'll be right there alongside you, Brother Drake and Brother Minuteman and everybody else, helping to take out the trash so we can move on to a better place and a better stage of our lives. That way nobody goes hungry, everybody has work, and we can all live in peace without fearing, you know, that someone's going to come and take us away or do something like they did to Brother Brandon. And Brother Brandon, you have lots of support, and you will be going home. Have no fear. They cannot win unless we let them, and we're not going to let them defeat us.
Thank you, Kari. Thank you so much. That's very, very well said.
You know, I only speak from the heart. And speaking of tickets, they talked about their tickets. How about this, everybody? Brothers and sisters, not just across America, but across the world. How about the ticket to freedom? The freedom
There
ticket.
you go.
There we
right.
go, Kari. Thank you so very much, honey. Thank you. You have a great afternoon, Kari, and we're going to take a couple more calls here, and then I'll call you a little bit later, honey. Thank you so very much.
Love you,
Thank
Drake.
You,
love you, Grammy J. Love you, Drake. Love you, Denise, and everybody else. I love everybody, and God bless everybody. God bless the whole world.
Okay, Kari, thank you again, honey. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, let's see. We have Buck in Atlanta. Buck, you're alive.
Yes, question for Drake. I have, over a period of time, I've written some commercial affidavits of truth against corporations, not the corporation itself, but the people, because I made them on the private side. They're non-judicial at this point, except for a common law court, which obviously does not exist. When the common law courts come back, and these, by the way, they've all defaulted and have never answered me, but they have stopped their actions against me. My question is, when the common law systems come back into play, will I be able to take my my commercial affidavits and bring those before a common law court?
I would say absolutely.
Okay. Good. I'm being patient. Obviously, there's nothing I can do now except wait. But I think they must. They seem to have worked, so there must be a lot of gravity to that process. And so that's good to hear. One other quick. Let me just ask Drake one thing. David Wilcox posted that he was in London and he was given instructions how to go to a field and met a lot of people there, and then they were introduced to aliens. Have you ever had one of those invitations yet?
No.
Do you believe, is that a valid, as far as you know?
I have no idea. I wasn't there.
Okay.
Thank you, Buck. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we have Pots and Pans Dan.
All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we had some, like, feedback or noise. You might want to turn your volume down on your computer.
You know what that is in the background?
Okay.
It's the Pots and Pans Brigade. Come on, women of the world, step up to the plate.
All right. Hey, Drake, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I've been doing a little research on David Flynn and Sidonia. Can you comment on David Flynn's research if you're familiar with him?
I'm familiar with a lot of that. The stories I've heard bring an alien race to that area, and then from that area to ours. And these things are carved in stone in a couple of places on this planet, and if somebody really wants to take a close look, they can find references. I'll suggest that there's a whole lot of things that people don't know about that are going on a regular basis in particularly dealing with that. And those things are going to come to light. And when they do, it's going to be a mind blower. So everybody get ready, okay?
All right. Hey, thank you very much. David Flynn was a devout Christian, and his research is phenomenal. You guys keep up your good work, and God's going to bless you abundantly. He already has.
Thank you so much, Dan. Thank you as always.
Bye-bye.
Okay, once again, folks, once we answer your question, if you will please press the number 1 to lower your hand, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay, we have Mr. B. Mr. B, you are live.
Okay, dear, I was wondering when the missing 13th Amendment may be reinstituted, and when does Drake know when we will be back as a republic? Does he have any idea on this time frame?
Yes, I do, but it's not yet, and those things are going to have to wait until a lot of the things that I've mentioned have already taken place. So you're looking in the future sometime. I don't know exactly when everything is going to come to a conclusion, and we'll just have to wait and see.
But we're in the process. Thank you so much, Mr. B. Okay, next question is from Eagle in Montana. Welcome again, Eagle.
Hello. Hello, Drake.
Hi.
I have 2 quick questions. The first one, this is not in fear. This is a question that I don't want to be caught out there in the middle of nowhere. I'm going on a trip for approximately 2 weeks span from right now as we speak. And I'm curious if any of this is going to come down while I'm gone, because if it does, I might not have a way to get back. The other question is the telephone playback for this show, especially the archive part that we're in right now. What's that telephone number? Because I know that you can get it on computer, but of course I don't have the computer. So what is that number?
Do you know it? I don't.
Okay, I'm back.
I need to play. This man wants the playback number.
Okay, we do not, as of right now, immediately have a. I will get it. Let me see. I will. If Eagle, you will hold on and listen. I will have Paul Beener give me the number. I believe that you can call to re-listen.
Would that be the 399-1200?
Yeah, I don't know if that's the actual playback number of the whole thing, but I will find out for you, Eagle, and then I will call you. I do have your number, and I will call you and let you know.
All right.
Okay.
So what do you think, Drake, about the first question?
Restate it.
Yeah, please repeat the question.
I'm going to be making a trip within the next 2 weeks. I'll be gone for a while out of state. And my question is will any of this come down to affect my being gone, that I couldn't come back, right away? Because as an example, with the gas pumps, be shut down for 1, 2, 3 weeks.
No, they shouldn't be. You're going to have some spot problems in terms of deliveries. That's possible. No one really knows yet because this hadn't been done yet. You're not gonna, if you're not traveling internationally, you shouldn't have travel problems that are of a type that you can't get things taken care of. In other words, during a windstorm here in the Northeast, you had a lot of people limiting the gas to 10 gallons. You can go quite a ways on 10 gallons. If you do that a couple of times in between, you get to your destination. We did it. So I would suggest that would be the most limitation that you might find. Okay?
Thank you very much, Rick.
Thanks, Eagle, and I'll get with you on that number.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Okay. We have Kathy in Florida.
Good afternoon,
Kathy,
everybody.
you're live. Hi, Kathy.
Thank you, Denise. Hi. My question is there any validity concerning planet Nibiru/Planet X passing close to the Earth within the next few weeks that would cause any kind of volatile weather conditions, globally, flooding, anything like that? Has Drake or anybody on the site heard anything about Nibiru recently?
Yes, I have. Come to find out, it started out as a dwarf sun, red dwarf, with amazing powers. It could crush the planet Earth and all this happy stuff. Then it got reduced to a planet, and that the planet wasn't nearly as nasty, but it would have some adverse effects. You got to watch it, this sort of thing. Well, come to find out, it is basically an asteroid, and it's not a great big one, but it ain't a real little one. It's going to pass somewhere around half a million miles from the planet. Now, that's close enough to have some effects. There's a combination of these effects. You might actually even feel a mild trembling in the earth in terms of an earthquake. You might actually have a glass of water make waves in itself from that trembling. There are not going to be the extraordinary planetary destruction that everybody's been talking about. What there is going to be is that it is an ending to one and the beginning of another existence. The reason that this got messed up is twofold. There's always what's called a negative or destructive timeline that goes along and runs parallel to the positive or non-destructive timelines. It's easier when you have the wrong influences throwing the negative timeline at you to latch onto it and think that it is the real deal, when it is not necessarily what is going to happen. The second part of this is that you have had a lot of efforts by what is known as the cabal, or bad guys, in order to put things out, such as pictures, etc., from varying places, and confirmations that, oh yeah, it's big and bad and it's coming at us and we're all going to die. So the essence of this is this. There may be some small waves, and by small I do mean small, in the oceans. There may be an unsettling of certain seismic areas and a little activity that goes with it. There is not going to be the great earth changes everybody has been talking about as such. And that's basically what I've been told. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so very much, and appreciate everything everybody is doing for us.
You're welcome. Denise, we got more callers?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was Mr. B was giving me some information there. Okay, let's see. We answered Kathy in Florida. Let's see. All right, we have Karen in Texas. Karen, you're live.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Karen.
I was just wondering if, since everybody's hoping and waiting for debt forgiveness, I was just wondering if the Fair Isaacs is going to go away.
If the who is going away?
The FICA, the Fair Isaacs.
FICA tax.
Oh, FICA tax. Okay, I couldn't quite get that part. It kept fuzzing up. What you got to realize is that most of the tax is predicated on falsehoods. So if there is to be a taxing of any sort, which I have a tendency to doubt, you're looking at something where it would be minimal. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean it'll go totally away, but think about it being reduced by 80 or 90% at the very least. This is what the federal government's going to be reduced by. So, go from there. Figure, 90% reduction in taxes at the very least. If NESARA is implemented, there won't be a need for tax. So, you may not pay at all.
I meant the Fair Isaacs, the Fair Credit Reporting, that the your credit score, will that be going away?
No. What you have to understand is that all of the credits and a lot of the debits or debt is going to be either frozen absolutely or eliminated. So it's a possibility on one side, and then on the other side it may be something of a different type. It's not written in stone yet. When it comes out, then we'll all know is exactly what they intend to do. Then, and this is the neat part, in a free country you get to decide whether or not they get to do it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Karen. We have a lot of Texans on the line today, Drake. Once again, folks, I will ask you, please, to hit the number 1 to remove yourself from the question queue. Okay, next caller is Billy Bob from Texas. Billy Bob, you're live.
Hello, Brother Jake.
Hey.
Hey, one of my questions was about the government stocks. Are they going to go to hell? I mean, government bonds.
They already have pretty much. If you take a look at the bond market, they're not in good shape. You're talking about a combination of straight government issue and also munis, as they're called, municipal bondings. The reason I say they've already gone in the trash is because the government's buying their own stuff. It'd be kind of neat if I could fill my checkbook up by writing myself a check. I think that's a pretty interesting deal. I haven't figured out how that works yet, but when I do, I intend to have a fat bank account. Okay?
Well, the main question was if you've got a lot of your stuff in government bonds, should you go ahead and try to switch them over before all this stuff comes down?
My suggestion to anybody holding any kind of paper, to include stocks as well as bonds, to divest themselves of that and get into some sort of hold-in-your-hand commodity. And now I'm talking something that's valuable and does not, as such, lose its base intrinsic value. I recommend junk silver, as they call it. You can get into silver ingots if you wish, or depending on the money you got. Junk silver is priced on the weight, according to the coin, and so it should not be extraordinarily expensive to start getting into some of that. The other part of it is that you've already seen what they can do with the stock market. I think everybody found that out in 2008. You found out also what they can do to an entire industry if they so decide to play with it, and that's the housing industry. It went in the toilet and it stayed there pretty much. So you have to take these things into consideration. If you do not have access to, first of all, most of the electronic funding that's used, you do not have cash in fist, you may have a problem. 2 forms of cash. I think the dollar is going to weather the storm, but it might be a good idea if the banks are going to be closed for a few days to make sure that you got a handful of it to tide you over. If you're looking long term, investing in silver, specifically the junk type, it's American coinage, so everybody recognizes it. All you got to do is weigh it to find out how much it weighs, multiply by the silver content, and at that time it was like 80% or give or take. And there you got the valuation. So a couple of half dollars or silver dollars might buy your groceries for the week. It
right.
could be.
Yeah, I understand that, Drake, but a lot of it's in 401ks, and they really limit you to what you can invest in. And so, you know, I was just trying to find some direction in that area.
Okay, well, in terms of retirement accounts, I'll tell you to look at General Motors and what they just did to their people. They just took anybody's account they felt like. So the government also does this on a regular basis. I'm telling you, it is not safe to trust them. And my considered opinion is that withdrawal, even though you're going to pay a penalty and or taxes, is probably your best bet if you want to have something when it all gets done shaken out. This is what I'm driving at. Divesting yourself of paper that says the stock's worth so much or whatever, and putting it into something that is really of value, such as silver. And if your 401k does not allow you to invest in a commodity, then I would suggest that you can probably legally get out of that 401k or adjust it so that it can.
Okay. I've just got something that I need to talk to Denise about. I'll hold the phone for her.
Okay.
Billy Bob, yeah, hold on. Or I actually can take your phone number down and call you after the show.
Okay.
Would you like to do that? Okay, I'm going to write it down right here from the board. Everybody give me just a moment here. In case we get disconnected, and I will let everybody else know that Minuteman got dropped, and now because we are in after, overtime, it will not let him call back into the board.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, he wanted to thank everybody and tell everybody get her done. So, and Billy Bob, I will call you after the show.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, and once again, I have several people in the queue that we have answered their questions, and they are not coming off the board because I don't know if it's because we're in overtime and the questions, the board isn't working properly. But if you'll hit the number 1 to try to remove yourself from the caller queue, once again, I appreciate it. Okay, let's see. I don't think that we have spoken to Catherine from Minnesota. Catherine, you're live.
Hi. Just a second. Okay, I wanted to take you off speaker. Yeah, I just wanted to make a statement concerning the news services that are coming out with the current useful reports. And I think it would help tremendously to call them and thank them for the stories they put out that are good stories that we need. And they're just like everyone else in that they like to be praised. And it strokes their egos, and they feel good. And we want to keep them feeling good about doing the right thing. Everyone likes to feel good. Everyone likes a pat on the back for a job well done, and it touches their soul when you pat them on the head.
Absolutely. Good idea.
Okay. All right. So one other thing, and I don't want anybody to get ticked off at me about this, but President Obama was put in place to do a specific job. And I don't care whether you think he's a light worker or not. He was put in place to do a specific job. That job is to wake up the sheeple as fast as possible without causing as much damage as if he were just to go whole hog and just really destroy everything at once. So that's what he's there for.
Okay. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Okay. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a great day. Okay, we have EQ in California. EQ, you're live.
Thank you very much. I'd like to reply to that lady, but I will not. DNC had something to do with that. On the topic, Drake, you talked about helping poor people. I've done that all my life. And I've found that there are poor people who want a handout. They want a lift up. They'll pull themselves up by the bootstraps. But we also have people that they won't do anything. They want a handout. They want you to do everything for them. They won't work for it. They won't go to school. They just say, gimme, gimme. When are you going to come back and give me more? How is our new government going to handle those people? Some of these people, they've lived on welfare generation after generation after generation. They don't want to do anything. They expect us to take care of them. I donate a lot, and I tell you what, I don't like giving to people who won't help themselves. How are we going to change it around so that they won't help themselves? Have to do
Hallelujah.
Well, primarily, when you get hungry, you'll comply with things. When you have needs that will not be met because you refuse to do anything, that could be effective as well. A person that is left out of the social loop and cannot re-enter it until they start doing something will find that doing something is better than being isolated. A lot of people look at this as sort of an excommunication religious kind of deal. Well, it is in some respects, in that everybody will have certain things according to a combination of what they do and the manner in which they strive to accomplish what they're dealing with. Now, one of the things that does have a tendency to get people off of the couch, out of the welfare mindset, is when a person's life experience, and it may not be a great one, their talents and their psychological makeup is put into gear. You then find the extraordinary capability of people actually wanting to do something. I always wanted to try. Well, it may not be that you wanted to try, but your life experiences and all these things add up to you going in that direction. If you supply an educational format in that area with the known guarantee that you're going to be able to work in it, then the incentive is to turn off the TV and get up off your whatevers and go do it. Now, hopefully this will work. I don't think there's going to be a need for forcing people into things they don't want to do. The idea of collectivism is either totally non-existent or totally pervasive. There's not really an intermediary, because if you start collectivism, it grows. If you do away with it, then you are going to have a totalitarian collectivism in place. In other words, people need food, they need clothes, and they need a place to stay, basic needs. So in order to have the whole of society go to the direction of providing that, the person has to show us whether or not their talents are real. And this is where it comes into play of either providing or not according to the individual's actions. I think this is, and when you leave it up to them, and yet it's also something they like to do, it's something they got a little talent in, their life experience has some small portions of it in there, generally, most people will become active in that area. So, there you go.
What about the children? Many times, this is going to take time for all this to happen.
Well, it's
not going to be an overnight thing. So,
well, overnight you're going to see the educational system go in the toilet, right where all of the educational system that is now belongs. The difference is going to be they're going to really teach them exactly what the reality is, along with us. Now, you got to remember, they played games with history and all the books and everything everybody's read and screwed it around to make it look a certain way so that we would be more compliant. Well, all of that is changing. This is, when I say extraordinary social structure changes, it's extraordinary. When the kids start learning that they're going to have a 5 or 10 minute deal, and then they're going to get about 2 or 3 minutes to write down on a piece of paper what they think about it. How does it affect you? What are you thinking about this? Was that a good idea, etc.? When you get what's called audience participation, and you accept that audience participation as that individual's representation of themselves, and then say, yeah, that's different, but I like that, because it deals with the subject. Not for any other reason. You're not pleasing the teacher or a standard or anything. You are being an individual. then you have activated the drive and imagination of a child in even adults to the point where it alone will start driving them in the correct direction. There's a big difference here. It's going to be an overall change. It's going to happen very fast. This is not something that's going to go 100 years before it gets done. This is going to happen very quickly. So be prepared. When I say reality is going to jump up and smack you on the head, I'm not kidding.
I realize what you're saying. I was involved in I was the head of the PAL program for our sheriff's department. I did not realize what some families, many of them farm workers, many of them were not, that we took 100 kids camping every year at the beach. And there were children that told me that they would get whatever breakfast they got at school and whatever lunch they got at school. They would get no supper. I'm a country girl. It's, I'm sorry, or dinner, whatever you want to call it. And the children have to be fed in this interim. And if there are going to be means to take care of the children while the parents are trying to learn what they're supposed to be doing to take care of themselves and their children.
That's part of that education.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, I understand, but the children have to be fed in the interim.
I understand that.
Is it going to be welfare or food lines or something to feed the babies?
They're not going to allow the babies to go hungry.
That's all right.
That's part of the usage of the collateral accounts. It will improve the lifestyle to an extent that you're going to have all these advanced technologies released, and these things will be funded by us. Neil Keenan and I have had extended discussions on these things. You're going to have energy. You're going to have new forms of transportation. You're going to have new forms of lifestyle derived from these new technologies, the changes. A food replicator can feed as many people as you can supply it energy for. So, think about that. And think about the fact that, you could have one place where everybody could go. It might be some place where somebody lives now who ends up with a crowd of people there. That would be perfect. It could be a church. It could be anything. It could be somebody's home. The gist of this is that you could have dining halls run by these people. Oh, hi, how you doing? Knows everybody and that sort of person, and everybody gravitates toward them because they're always looking at the positive. They're always happy. Mostly, never have a bad day. That sort of thing. Everybody gravitates toward them because that's what they want. So the more that they are around that person, the more idea they get as to how to be what they want to be, which is happy-go-lucky, enjoyable life. So
thank you so much, EQ. We appreciate your call very, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I will state for EQ also, I have been working in the background, and I am going to have my team members help me to get this a little bit further going. A resourcefulness type page, suggestions as to things that you could and should be doing to prepare, things like community gardens, your own garden, stocking up on food items, those kinds of things. In the event that food banks and stuff are shut down for a while or whatever, suggest that people who are on food stamps and food banks go and stock up. Just in case, because you never know when those things will be unavailable. Don't necessarily hold on to your food stamp card or whatever until the very last minute, but go ahead when you get it revamped or deposited or whatever for your month's worth of groceries. Go out and get them right away and stock up. So those kinds of things. So thank you very much for your call, honey. That's a very good question. Okay, we have another Texan, Catherine from Texas. Catherine,
yes, I'm here.
You're live.
Good. I also want you to call me with that number so I can re-listen to all of it today, if possible. I don't.
Okay, honey. Yeah, I do believe there will be a number available to listen to it re-recorded.
AN Militia.
I think we will post it everywhere we can possibly post it.
Okay.
Okay, honey.
Question, Denise. They're saying you should close your Facebook accounts, but that's not what I was calling about. That would really mess us up for your show. That's the only thing I use mine for.
They're saying I should close the Facebook account?
It's on the Internet. Everybody should close their Facebook account because the government's using it to track things. It was on.
Oh, okay. Well, we all know that the Facebook is run by the government, and it's always been a rather insecure place, but it is also a very valuable place to share information. We won't be closing the Facebook account and cutting everyone off.
Now, my question is about the White Hats report, number 47, because I read it, and the next thing I knew, there was something called the investigative report, which kind of made it look bad. So where do we stand with that on the White Hats? I thought those were good guys. Drake?
Well, a lot of people would think they were. From what I've been finding out and hearing from a lot of people, they've been the bad guys all along. I think that's extraordinary, but I would suggest that their manner of putting things out to now they're going to want to play the discredit me game and all this, discredit the documentation. If they can. The problem is that on numerous times, as an investigator, I have approached them at varying different levels, and I got all I have ever gotten when it came to a critical point to be made or documentation to be produced was ring around the rosy. So I don't know what they're hiding or why. All I know is that until they start producing documentation that is official and real and contrary to the direction that I have taken with the things I've taken, I don't give them much credibility. I'm sorry. People have asked me for things. As I get the availability to post them, I think they're beginning to see that I'm going to put it up there. I don't see it as a problem of fearing anything. I see it as people need and are due, long overdue, the truth. So now people can see the Keenan documents. They're there. And yet the White House just said, why am I rubbing Neil Keenan's name in the mud by putting up all of these fraudulent documents? Well, they came from Neil Keenan, dude. And until you can get better ones for me to put up, they're staying up. And I let them speak for themselves. And I just leave it. I'll just leave it right there. What?
Are you still going to put the White Hats reports on your website, knowing?
No.
No.
Yeah. I don't see the point if they're not going to produce the evidence. They have been hinting that they've got truckloads of this and we can do that. And okay, dude, I'm at the point where not only
show me the money,
but a lot of people have said, show me, prove it, and they never have.
Well, if you go back and read some of their other reports,
I read a bunch of
military and you in lots of different ways. If you really screen them all, I've been looking at them and I thought, why are you putting them up there? I don't quite trust them. So this is good.
I think so.
Because I think what y'all are doing is absolutely fantastic, and I pray for you constantly. And these guys that have done that, those military guys that all came on that video, are they protected, I hope?
I would not go messing with them in an adverse way. They might turn around and bite you.
Right. Because if they would say those things, I would think they would have to have something going on because they're outing themselves.
Well, you've got to understand that it's sort of like a Marine. There's no such thing as an ex-Marine.
Right.
And the reason is that you basically join a brotherhood of like-minded people. Now, I'm going to suggest further that the Special Forces are a really tight brotherhood. just as the brotherhood bonds that I formed when I was in Vietnam are. If somebody from one of my old units decided to get in touch with me and they had problems, I'd do whatever I could to help them. Just that simple. And so there you go.
Thank
Catherine, honey, thank you very much. We have about 4 or 5 more callers and about...
one now.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Bye-bye. Okay. Next, we have Ralph from, speaking of, Show Me, Ralph from the Show Me State.
Yes.
Ralph, you're live.
Thank you. Drake, you'd mentioned not too long ago that there's something big going to happen at the RNC. Can you give us any more details on what might be going on or expected to happen there?
No. I was asked not to, even though I found out some of them, and we'll just have to wait and everybody can be surprised when it happens. Or if somebody decided to put out false information, then they'll know that it was false information. Well, I'll go from there and see what happens. My understanding is that it's supposed to be a major announcement. Whoever's going to make it and whatever it's going to contain, I'll leave to people until such time as it's done. Okay?
Because either it happens or doesn't.
Exactly.
Well, I'm still
Thank you, Ralph.
I'm still telling people Ron Paul's going to be the next president of the United States. Would you agree?
I have offered on my website and a bunch of other places that, in my considered opinion, that would be one of the best candidates for one reason and one reason only. He operates outside the cabal. That means he's not a bad guy. That means that what he's saying also agrees with a whole bunch of other things that I am privileged to. And in my considered opinion, you have variance in this, and this is going to get interesting because there are a lot of states that have laws that say that you can't write in a candidate. Well, state law does not supersede federal law, and this is a federal election. If any state decides that they have the power to legislate, either legally or otherwise, changes in our Constitution, then you got a whole bunch of crooks involved, and they need to maybe go to jail too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ralph. Thank you so very much. Okay. We have Jim Lovell with us. Jim, let me open your mic. Okay, Jim, you're live.
Thank you. I'd like to make a call out to all radio amateur operators to get tied up with your local militia. I would like to thank everybody who's getting up off the couch rather than just listening. Question, will the Chicago Mercantile Exchange criminal traders be able to take the food commodities right through the ceiling once the word gets out there of food shortages, or will that not happen? I hope and pray.
Everything that you can think of in terms of that sort of thing is also something that Neil and I can deal with using the collateral accounts. So if need be, we'll buy them all out, fire them, and price things accordingly.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think Denise got lost in the pile somewhere.
Sammy J is still here, Drake.
I'm sorry, Drake. I was just taking the next caller. Sorry.
Oh, I know.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Okay, we have Greyhawk from Missouri. Greyhawk, you're live.
Thank you for taking my call.
Thank you, Greyhawk.
I'm part of a large group of freedom-loving Americans, and first of all, Denise, we'd like to express our thanks for what you do and let you know that your efforts and hard work is appreciated and noted.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Also, we'd like to express our thanks to Mr. Drake there for his willingness to share his knowledge and his information that he can, and occasionally his wisdom.
Thank you.
My question is, referring back to the Navy SEAL mission in Afghanistan, or Pakistan, I'm sorry, where bin Laden was supposedly killed and stuff. Do you believe that story that bin Laden was actually killed?
No, he's been dead since about 2001, frozen and done away with. He had a lookalike there that they took out. This is some of the information that some people found out after the fact and we're going to expose, and that's one of the reasons that SEAL Team 6 was being, and I don't know if they're still a living member, taken out through either accident or whatever means suited the cabal. This is a standard operating procedure when you have a mission that is discovered and it was not what it was supposed to be, and you've orchestrated a lot of press around it. The people involved die. This eliminates witnesses. That's my opinion of it.
Yes, that's exactly according to our information, too, and how we believe. We were just concerned a little bit when you set out the video of that. We didn't know if you were supporting a fact that didn't exist about him being killed and all the propaganda around it. It's great to know your opinion on that. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I will add to that, we receive videos and stuff, and when Drake shares them, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything in the video is supported and or whatever by Drake. There can be elements of it that are true. There can be elements of it that are everything, false. Drake usually explains very well what he's trying to point out by sharing some of these videos. So just keep that in mind. Okay, we have Updana from New Mexico. Updana, you're live.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, Updana.
Hi, Drake. Well, it's kind of synchronistic. I was going to ask you about the White Hat report, and you answered that 2 callers ago. And I was going to ask you about New Mexico. We don't have, write-in, and you answered that one. So I'll just, instead of asking you, I'll just tell you that I loved your interview, or whatever it was, you and Alfred, and it was just fascinating. And I'm Indian, American Indian, and I know you can deny it all you want, and that's fine, because people that are deny it, but I know you're a shaman, and that's a good thing for people like me to know. And it might piss off some of the fundamentalist Christians, but I just want to say I respect you so much, all of y'all. I respect you, and I support you in everything that you're doing, and just thank you.
Thank you, Updana. We appreciate you. Your calls are always right on point, and your questions are always very helpful to not only us but to our listeners. And thank you so much for calling in.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You have a wonderful day. Okay, thanks. Drake, we have one more call, and that's Marianne in California. Marianne, thank you for your patience, honey. You're our last caller.
Oh, well, thank you for your time you have invested in this and helping us. My brother and I were both in the military, and we have both been terribly injured and brutalized. And now we were enduring Vietnam, and he has voices in his brain. So I was going to ask, do you think they're doing that to him, and is there any way he can get healed, or will there be an opportunity for him to get healed in the future?
Yes. That's a portion of the suppressed and hidden technologies, as well as you have to remember now, and believe it or not, ET is supposed to add their expertise into this so that we can be helped further quicker. These things go in the right direction, but they're not as complete as need be in order to do all the things within the timeline allowed. So, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. And then if we were to come into a large sum of money real soon, what can we do to protect it so that we can get it to the people that need it?
Large amount of money, you talking about on a personal basis of your own?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a variety of things that you can do. My suggestion, as I have stated before in finance, is to convert anything you got in the way of paper, and I don't mean absolutely all of it. Keep a little regular, plain old, everyday American cash as we know it. Convert the majority of it into, I would suggest, junk silver. It's not real expensive and serves the purpose. I mean, it's American coin, and it has a high content of silver, and the value of it's based on the weight of the silver involved. So you could, take two 50-cent pieces down. At 80% is what I look at things as. In terms of the silver content, at 80% of the weight times whatever the market value is,